fluffy edition. Getting a bit fluffy over here. Fluffy edition over here. What's up, lads? I'll post in the chat to get some guys in there. This is Ask Me Anything, Get Your Shit Together edition. I've got to post. 1 second. See if guys come in. Maybe I'll just turn it into a fucking not a live because I have no viewers. I'll have to turn it into a non-live. But Get Your Shit Together edition. So get some fucking questions in as well, guys. If you have questions, this is the Get Your Shit Together edition. So it's time to start taking your life serious, because I'll tell you guys a story and something that will probably make you feel the fire under your ass. Something that I'm building, and then in turn that I know that I'm building, and I'm starting to see others in that specific field, and I see the very tech that's being built. Let's see. So what's up, guys? Good to see us. Is there any questions for anything to happen at the moment? Is there anyone got any questions? Things that you want to cover today other than the Get Your Shit Together edition? I have my RM on. I actually drowned this RM. So it was in the, drowned in a, where's the thing? It drowned in a fucking pool. I was drunk and then I swam with it and didn't have the crown done up properly. And it was diamonds, and the diamonds are aftermarket. They're not made with the watch. And then it had a leak and it fucked the watch up. I had to pay 40 grand just to get it fixed, and it's still not 100%. So that's the game, that's it. But trust me when I say RMs and all of these like Rolexes and shit, that's a bullshit. That's all bullshit. I only wear this because I have to, because people know they can take you more serious if you have nice shit. It's part of it. And also it's an insecurity thing, because when I was a kid, I never had anything. So then as soon as I got rich, I went and bought all of the crap, only for me to realize that it doesn't matter, a lot of that stuff. And that stuff can bind you, becomes kind of like shackles. Like that's a thing for the lower class. That's a specific thing. I know guys that when they get rich and things like that, they can't fathom the idea that you didn't need all of that stuff. Like that consumerism stuff is a trap. It's true. Specifically hits the lower income people and the people, because you never had it. So the first thing you do as soon as you get money is like, I want to buy everything that I could never have as, when I was growing up, or all of these things, because you feel insecure. Like when you're in school and things like that, and you don't have nice stuff, and you don't have nice shoes, and you don't have all this shit, even in high school or primary school, whatever, it builds up in the back, and you don't think that it affects you. But then later on, you're like, it's hit you hard in that moment. You feel poor. You think, why didn't my parents have money to buy me stuff? And that's okay that they didn't, right? But then when you get it yourself, you come to realize that you go that full loop. I would hate for my daughter to think that she needs all of this stuff to essentially be loved. See, these are the ideas and things that you have to close off with you. That's it. You go the full rotation or the full karmic cycle only to realize that you didn't need that stuff in the beginning. But often you need to have it to say that you didn't need it. Some people never even needed to go down that loop. Like they figured it out early. Some people that have been around money and things because their parents possibly told them that they didn't need all of that shit. But if you've never seen it, it's easy for me to tell my daughter that she doesn't need that stuff because I've had it. That's the thing. That's the truth of the matter. You have to essentially experience it, right? It's like you have a girl and you have a kid or something like that, and you're telling your son things. He's going to want to hear it from you as though you've done it. That's the story. Like experience changes everything, because a lot of this theory and like people watch, like, I don't know, what's that, 48 Laws of Power, written by that massive nerd. And his book is some of those stories are really true. Like avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. That's the most fucking power. If you only read that book to learn that one concept, that's very powerful, because they're not just unhappy and unlucky. It's all intentional, and they drag other people down with them. They're intentional because they like the feeling of losing. Like if I could tell you one thing, avoid losers in general. See, a loser is not someone who's trying but doesn't have any money or anything like that. Like guys laugh at the Uber driver and the guy who's like delivering food and things like that, and they laugh at them, but they're not losers because they're still trying. Like they're still doing shit. A loser is someone essentially who's not trying to get any higher. Like not only that, but they're often dragging other people down as well. And you absorb their crap because they're always the first to complain. If you're around people and your friendship circle and you look around and you're around people that essentially don't want you to climb, a lot of you will be. A lot of you people will be around people that are holding you back and you don't know it. A lot of people around you you'll have friends or people around you that you think are your friends. But if you were to have a good windfall, they wouldn't be on your team. Some of you have friends that you think are your friends and they don't even like your Instagram posts. but you'd be like, they're my friends, but they're giving you feedback that they're not actually your friend. See, all of that stuff is very relevant. That sort of stuff is actually that people keep the very people around them to gatekeep them. They keep you close because they don't want you to go too far. Don't you see that? Misery loves company in those regards. If I had a friend or I had people and I saw again and again and again that they never liked my Instagram posts, they never liked my stories, they never liked my content, I would start to realize that they're not a very good friend. That's the terms. Like that, Instagram makes it so easy for you to see who's on your boat, who's rowing on your boat and who isn't. Like Instagram is a cheat code. You can immediately see. You have a friend and he starts following girls that you know. You have a friend or something and he starts following people that you don't like. You have a friend and he doesn't like any of your posts. And some of you are like, but that's my friend for some reason, but they don't support you at all. The supporting of the micro, which is Instagram, is actually the supporting on the macro, which is life. They've given you a piece of data that you can't underestimate because you've got quality information that you never would have gotten from elsewhere. They don't want to support you. So in their energy vibe around you is making you less lucky. If you're around a bunch of people that don't want you to succeed, it's going to be a lot harder for you to win. You need to do a reality reset that I talk about for a very long time. In the last videos that I spoke of, I said how to do a reality reset. A lot of you need to do that. A lot of you, if you could understand, imagine you watch the algorithm for Facebook or Instagram or something like that. And then you can click that you want to see less of a specific type of post and you want to see more of another specific type of post. That's how reality should be. Like you shouldn't be focused on shit that essentially isn't not only for you, but doesn't support you. Like guys follow girls that don't follow them back. I would never do that. As soon as I realize a girl doesn't follow me back, I just delete her. I would do that even if I had followed no girls. I would rather just be have nothing than to give my attention to something that doesn't give me any return. Hasn't even given me the dignity of following me back. I'm not getting no value. Like if you follow me, you're still getting value back because I'm teaching you shit. But a girl, your value is not to stare at her ass. Like you're just building her story and her image and her brand for a lot of them because then they just go on off. You don't like any girl shit unless you have a chance to fuck her. That's it. Like let's not play stupid games. Like your attention has to have value. Some of you, your attention, you're just throwing out into the abyss. And it's shit that will never pay you. Like again, some of you are focused highly on political crap that might be from one specific country, which can be very true. But understand this stuff coming out of that one specific country is actually making them much more powerful because people are talking about them when they're a very small country. And the more that people talk about them and focus on them, the more that they expand. That's the concept. See, you wonder how such a small area can have so many people talking about it and focused on it. And it's of no doubt that a very big amount of the future will lie in the next, 10 to 20 years for what happens out of that country. That's it. And when you look at history, a lot of the history has focused on that specific people for a very long time. And you wonder how, because there's such a small amount of people compared to the world. But again, like, this Instagram, understand the algorithm. You don't live your life that way. What you focus on expands. The observer effect is real. What you're focused on and giving energy to showing your subconscious and essentially the lattice, that's your communication to the outside, that you want more of that. Like you want more of what you're focused on, which might be complete shit. Only focus on things that pay you. Some of you, like guys, sit there and be like, "Oh, Steven, like, why would you do content? You've got 30 people on a live stream." Yes, I'm not an entertainer. That's true. You're never going to see me jumping in and being like, shh, 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 shh. I'm not a wind-up monkey. I can't be bought and paid for. I'm not going to stand here and I'm going to say shit that's controversial and no one will do content with me. That I've already accepted that. I know that's true. I can't do collabs. I'm not going to do any sponsored shit. I'm not going to reach out to certain people who have big audiences and then prop up their backstories, which are very larpy. I am a rogue in this fucking system. I'm not going to, because I don't need to. I know who I am, and that's that. That's the story, and that's the way that it goes. But essentially, I'm an educator. Education is not interesting. Like it's not exciting. It's not fun. Looking internal isn't fun. Do you know how many fucking easily stories I would have if I could just bullshit to you guys and tell you if you bought one specific possession that your life would be better? If you just cross this one bridge, everything would change. And it's not like that. Everything that's good for you is internal. Everything that you have to fix the external to understand the external. It's true for a lot of you. A lot of you, I'll do a live one day, maybe even maybe next week, and I'll do a live and I'll let you guys call in. And if a couple of people call in, I'll change your whole life for real. If you can talk to me for 5 or 10 minutes, your whole life will be completely different. It's true. Because I'm the guy who pushes the seed in your head. Maybe you cope at first and say that I'm entirely wrong. And I've been told that a lot of times from my life, and I don't mind that because I know that you only come at a period where some people are not ready yet. Similar to the movie Inception, where the girls ends up committing suicide, right? That's the story. That's what happens. An idea is a seed. The best, I don't know, intelligence, the best people who are very good at working with people, they push an idea in, but you have to water it yourself. See, I push ideas in. I'm an expert at this. This is what I do. I know all of this stuff. I'm not pushing you to believe what I believe. You don't have to. But I know one day something will happen. Something will happen to you. And then you'll turn around and be like, I put the seed in there, but it wasn't until that thing happened. And now it's ready to start to break open. That's the truth. That's the thing. That's what I do very, very well. And I know that it can be a year from now. It can be 2 years from now. It can be 5 years from now. It can be 10 years from now. And then you look back and be like, I'm suffering from an ego death. And Stephen begun it a very long time ago for me. He was right on many things. And it doesn't mean that, I'm not saying that I know you entirely and all of this, because everyone has a sad story. Like, I understand everyone does. I have a lot of sad stories as well, but it's irrelevant. Like, it doesn't matter. Some of the things and the worst things that ever happened to you, one day you'll look back and you can, if you handle it and manage it right, you can see that it was necessary in your growth through all the way through. Some people who have the hardest life is because they have the biggest potential. That's true. That's a part of life. Like, that really is. God tests, I believe, that the people that are destined for can be destined for very big things. Test them thoroughly. Whether you believe it's a basilisk concept, that's what I believe that it is. Essentially, it's a gatekeeper. The gate keeps the next step for you and will continually put things in front of you that you have to overcome. Like, you say you want to be powerful, but you're tested on how you treat people that are powerless. You say that you want a good girl, but you're a fuckboy. You say you're a religious guy, but you're like fucking laughing 90% of the time. You're a shit muncher. It's the truth. Like, a lot of guys, like, they just laugh as religious. Like, do you think no one knows that? Like, everyone can see it, right? Because you don't actually follow through with a lot of the stuff that you do. Like, if a guy wants a traditional life, it's not that hard. Like, the thing is, though, it's hard when you don't want to be traditional. Like, traditional binds you. Traditional is exactly putting roots in the ground that you can't move away from. It's responsibility based. That's the truth of it. It's accountability based. You're accountable to your family. You're accountable to God. See, these things people don't like. They just like the idea of having a chick and being like, now you're a wife and you stay home and you don't do shit. Do you think I don't know these games? Like, you can't do that in the first world. Yes, you can run around the caves and do these sort of things, but you can't do that in the first world. You can't tell your girl what to do because you'll go to jail. Like, it's obvious, right? You can't just, like, a lot of the stuff now, what do they say? That shit where you're controlling her finances or any of that stuff. Like, in Australia, they have a lot of that shit where she can accuse you of bullying or something like that, and you can end up in a lot of trouble. Like, for real. Domestic violence laws there are wild. It's the truth of the matter. Can't fuck around with that sort of shit. That's just the nature of the game. You have to move in a series of progression. Like, you have to deal with what's around. I told you guys, like, some guys running around being like, oh, I was with the chick and she had 3 bodies. And then as soon as I found out, I dumped her, even though I was happy with her. That's dumb. And then they'll be like, but Myron said this and that and this. I respect the guy that he works hard and does things, but that show is a skid mark on society. Like, do those people have what they preach about? I saw that Donovan Sharp was with a complete whale and she was old. Like, for all of the chest beating and screaming for years about women, you don't even have a woman that I would ever even look at or acknowledge. See, those are the things. Like, that's all theory. Like, again, this is just talk. Like, what have you show me what your mindset has gotten you? Like, that's it. I think a lot of you, if you're honest about yourself too, these years of self-development that some guys have done is in vain. Like, actually, I think some of you have self-developed backwards because you had an idea. A lot of people with this red pill, they came in often, like, the first thing you do, you've been hurt. Maybe you're trying to understand women, or you don't have a lot of experience, right? Or you've had a negative experience with women. And then you jump online and then you search how to learn this or how to learn that, or what happened. Like, I got cheated on, what the fuck happened there? And then you see some guy screaming and chest beating and yelling at a bunch of, like, whores on that show. like, I don't know, whatever podcast. The guy's a fucking geek again. Like, he's a dweeb. Like, what's the idea of all of this stuff? Like, show me your girls. Like, do you have any results with women? Like, why are you even talking about women? And why, again, are you presenting a bunch of whores as though that's normal? Because it's not. I don't interact with women like that. Not to say that I don't think that they're still human. It's their business, whatever they do. But I know they don't represent the majority. And again, you don't realize that the host and the OnlyFans girl have winked. They've winked at each other and they're having an inorganic conversation, and you're being monetized because you watch it. And then some people are like, okay, I'll subscribe to her shit. You don't realize that it's inorganic. You think that it's like, she's like, oh, she got kicked out of the show. Of course she got kicked out because she's going to get a viral clip. And if it goes viral, more people will see her. And someone will be like, she's got a fat ass. I want to subscribe to her shit. See, that's the genius of it. But it's not, that's like really low level. Like, I saw that immediately and I figured it out. I saw that stuff. What's my thoughts on men hating content women pushing online? I don't know what you mean. I assume that you mean like, what's my thoughts on men hating women? Well, I would assume if you're a man that hates women, you might be gay. Like, I would love to see a lot of the guys that are writing that stuff. You would probably realize that some of them might be bi, or at least in the closet. Like, a lot of these ideas, you don't realize people create identities and things and framework to reinforce their own belief system. Every girl's a whore, so I'm going to only speak to whores on a show. Like, these ideas are not normal. Like, they're not natural. It's not natural to hate women. Like, why do you hate them? Something must have happened. You've got some issue with them, some negativity, some experience that was bad. So why don't you talk about that and how you solved it? But in the case of that, they haven't solved it. Now, there's this whole, everything is a projection. Like, from the internal, they're just projecting on a bunch of women that are, like, you know, for the most part, have to stick around. Because if you're on the shows, you have to stay in the game because you're going to get more subscribers. So even though you might not agree with the host, it's best to just nod. So you're witnessing a completely inorganic conversation. It's the truth of the matter. Is it time to get rid of USD? I don't think it's time to get rid of USD yet. But I would certainly not be holding a lot of exposure. A cash position is a position, but it's a position of decay. See, I'm in cash, but I'm in, like, you know, 10 or 15% cash. I'm probably 40% in crypto now. I'm heavily weighted, although I did partially fuck the cycle up because I had too much Ethereum. Although Bitcoin itself is still okay, but I would have I've lost almost 40% of my Bitcoin stack. But I think because of the fucking Satoshi value. But I think in the long run, Ethereum goes to like 0.06, maybe 0.08. And that's the case. That's the truth. Yes. Are these Instagram influencers who are all market sports gambling and parlay all LARPs? Yes. That's their business. That's their business model. Like, their business model is essentially monetize their followers, stand there, and then see, guys will, like, they don't understand that, again, these guys are making only get their rake back from you. Like, they get their rake back from you. You lose their money and the casino gives them like 50% of the money that you lose. Their business is only based on you losing. That's it. All of these, like, where they're just gently advertising sports bet. There's one specific guy who talks around that he does a bunch of blow and shit, and he's like a bit of a juice head. He doesn't do any of that. It's all a shtick. It's an act. I've seen a lot of these people in person. They're just actors. Like, this is all an act to get you to view, to get like a little viral clip or something, doing something silly so that people look, and then they like spend their money on a bunch of bullshit because gambling. Like, that's not very good. Like, gambling itself is going to be one of the things that are going to hold you back to be a nobody. Like, gambling is horrible. I mean, I have a gambling addiction for a very long time when I was younger, and I lost many things. Gambling, you lose your dignity because you can't leave the casino and it sucks. You lose your trust in yourself because you're sitting there and you're like, this is the last time. And then you keep going back and keep gambling. And I was addicted to gambling in the physical realm. The online casino is even more addictive. That's why I don't play. I don't play online casinos because I know that I could get addicted as well. So I don't fuck around with them. Everyone has a poison where if you mess with it, it will consume you. And gambling for me is one of them. So I don't fuck around with it. I've had many things in my life where I've never fucked around with gambling. Opiates, because I learned at a young age. I never fucked around with gambling, opiates, any painkillers, any Xanax, any sort of any like of those like anti-anxiety medication. I don't fuck around with any synthetic opiates or anything like that. I never would. Like opioids, I'd never fuck around with that. I don't fuck around with, there's many things, right? Anything meth-based of substances I don't fuck around with because you lose yourself. I've seen it happen so many times. and those specific things. And I still have my own poisons, but I have my own things that I don't need any more demons as it is. I already know mine, and I don't want to add more to them, but I already know them. I don't let them leak on other people. I have my own demons, but I keep them under control to me to manage. I don't leak them on others, but I'm not looking to add to them by, jumping into online gambling or any other shit like that. Like, you have to know that there are things that will fuck you over, and you try to avoid them as you can. That's the nature of maturity. And there are some things in life that you may never conquer. Like, there are some addictions and habits that you can have where it goes away for a year and you beat it for a year, and then something happens, and then before you know it, you're back in it. Maybe you lose a family member or someone close to you dies, and then you're back in that hole again, as it is to be back in Plato's cave. You can get out of it and you can fall back in again. It's the truth of it. You can get out of the abyss only to fall back into it. But when you fall back into it again, it's easier to get out of, because you felt that before. Like, you've been there before. You know what it takes to get out. It's true. But you can fall back into habits, addictions, negative habits. Some people they're fat, and then they lose weight, and then they get fat again, and then they're losing weight again. It's the nature of progression. Progression is not like this. Progression can be like this, like very slow, and like it's a slow roller coaster. But over time, you're getting it's like the Bitcoin chart. It's just a series of higher lows. Like, your fall is not as low as the last fall. Can be a thing for that. Getting out of mental health holes is a real thing. If you're depressed, if you're sad, if you're anxious, if you've got, negative self-talk. A lot of you will have horrible negative self-talk. That's why you distract yourself all the time. It's only in the negative self-talk, though, will you find yourself. See, this positivity and everyone's got to be positive and all, that's not real. Like, if your life sucks, there's very little to be positive about. You have a healthy body and all of these things, sure, but it's time to start looking at that you want more. That happens by looking at being like, I'm not happy with what it is that I have. I want more. And actually, I'm going to work for it. That's the saying. Any advice on dropping biases? The easiest thing is to identify it, stop blarping about it, stand in it and be uncomfortable. Confide in a close friend that you have an addiction. It doesn't matter what the addiction is. Porn is one that's kind of embarrassing, though. It's not that easy to run around and tell people you're jerking off to porn nonstop. But that's why it is, in fact, probably the most insidious one. Gambling is similar because no one knows. Like, if you sit on your computer, you can take a shit and play sports bet and lose the week's income, and then walk out to your wife and be like, hey, baby, I don't know what happened. I was betting on the Greyhounds. Similar to porn, someone can go and jerk off and just impulsively jerk off. But understand, it's not about jerking off. It's about distraction. You want the dopamine spike. You want the easy victory. You want to be somewhere else in that moment, because then often it's like their judgment is clouded after they're jerking off all the time. So it's like they're in a constant state of fog, but that pushes you out of alignment. Jerking off over random women specifically pushes you out of alignment. In a period of orgasm, it's a lot of energy. It's creation. So if your orgasm, as you're watching a bunch of random chicks that are like porn stars and shit, it's not good for you. It fucks you up. And I've said before, you have to be careful what girls touch you, what girls you're sleeping next to. All of that stuff is very important. It's true. What other questions? Do you have any tips for projecting into the ether through the subconscious, and any advice for reprogramming thoughts? I always say for reprogramming thoughts, you have to identify it, which is sitting in the room alone, 30 minutes with no distractions. Phone is far away from you. No music, no noise, no nothing, no interruptions. And you do your 30 minutes, even an hour it can take, and see the ideas that come up. Some of the first ideas for you guys that will come up is first, the coping. You're going to miss a message. You're going to miss work. Someone could call you. You missing this thing. You've got to do all of this busy work. See a lot of people watching podcasts and doing a bunch of busy work, but that's only to distract themselves from the inner dialogue. You already know everything. Like, you already know enough to actually be able to move forward and actually start doing shit. Start unraveling all of these threads that are inside you. And that's how it starts. The first is your front conscious mind is trying to get you back under control. Because understand that a lot of those thoughts and feelings and things that come up, they're dangerous because they're emotion based. And for some of you, your emotions, they scare you because you don't know how to manage them. But emotions is how you bend into the ether. Yes. Energy and motion. Emotions are they're the trick. Like, they're the ones that matter. Logic is not the trick, because most of your logic tree for a lot of you is bullshit based anyway. It's books and things that are agreed upon facts and stuff that a lot of it is not actual factual or beneficial for you. Like a lot of the textbooks and things, you have to look at who actually has been funding and creating them for a very long time. Do you think that they're building them in a way that is beneficial for you? They're building a slave class. They have been for a very long time. But essentially, that's how you can project out. You have to, so you're doing that. You ignore the first waves of your body and your brain telling you that this is dumb. It's a waste of time. You've got other things to do. And then you sit again and some thoughts will start to come up. What are you hiding from? And the first thought can be okay. Maybe it's about a girl. Maybe it's about money. Maybe it's about you're worried about your parents. And then you pull on it. And then you get deeper. And now you're pulling into a wound. And it's a thread. And you pull it. And for some of you, you won't be able to manage that. Like that will be too painful. You'll have to distract yourself again. Drug addicts and things like that, they'll be craving to do something like that because that's what they're hiding from. I say it a lot. A lot of you, you've got an infected wound because you had an injury, something hurt you in the moment and you didn't fix it. You didn't address it. You just put like bricks over it or like putty and you just put it over and you bricked it up and you've bricked up again. Like a rotten fucking thing is still in there. It's like a seed. It's hard and it's dark. And then if you are to essentially see it or pull it out, you have to pull all the shit off again, like all of this strength persona and all this image that everyone's a fighter and all this crap that you're running from. And then you have to actually get into the issue, and that's the real meta made. Because you're not projecting out, and then you realize actually I'm the problem of a lot of shit. It's me. It never was anyone else. It's my shit. I'm leaking on other people as well. Some people aren't leaking on others because they just isolate themselves. It's like that's another form of coping. They don't want to hurt others as they're hurt, but they don't know how to deal with their own shit. Again, but that's the truth, right? And then you have the infected wound. You have to take all of the lies and all of the little stories and all of the shit that you've been lying to yourself about, and you have to take it off. And now it's exposed, and then you have to cut it and then drain all of the pus and all of the shit out, and then stitch it up. And you drain that by coming to understand what it is that happened. Sometimes it happened and it happened for the best. Some of the stuff that happened to you deserved. Some of the stuff that happened, you needed it to happen. Some of you, again, hurt some chick or like got hurt by a chick and now you're just running around hurting chicks. You know, like you were the abused. Some chick treated on you or treated you poorly and now you're just running through hoes, creating the very problem that hurt you. That's the saying. Like you didn't learn anything. You forgot that it doesn't feel very good. And you're stuck in that moment. Because again, a lot of people too, they think it's funny. They don't realize that you're running through chicks, yes, whatever, but she's still stealing your time. Like you're still wasting your time. You talk to someone who's done that zillions of times and it's a waste of time. Someone could bring 95% of the girls that I've ever fucked and I wouldn't recognize them. Isn't that kind of sad? Like, do you really think that you need to go as far down that funnel as I have to realize that it's dumb? Like I've done everything to tell you that you don't need to do it yourself because it's a waste of time for the most part. And that's the saying, right? Like again, empathy is the killer. Like empathy crushes everything. Like it really does. Understanding. Because again, if you empathize and come to understand yourself, even if you use it from like a art of war concept, once you come to understand your enemy and you can feel an empathy for them, you live as though you can see through their very eyes. Because you empathize with their issue, you actually understand why they are the way that they are. And as you understand them in that moment, you kill them. They're finished, like they're destroyed. Because you know all of their, like that's empathy is the trick. That's how I can see people and understand them as they are. Doesn't mean that I sympathize for them and that I'm on their team or anything like that. But it's just such a massive cheat code because it's to understand yourself and you can come to forgive yourself. A lot of you need to forgive yourself for things that happened in the past or forgive others. And in forgiving others, you forgive yourself anyway. Because you realize that forgiveness is not about the other person. It's not. It's about you letting go. Because otherwise it will just drag on forever. Some people have like this revenge fantasy and things like that, but they're actually taking tick damage all of the time. You're taking like poison damage for your whole life. While you think about that other person, even if they only control a few % of your mental capacity, they're stealing from you every single day. You need to let go of that shit. Some people have a fantasy of like that they're going to make it and their ex will be impressed for some reason. I need to show her that I'm not nothing. That's dumb. A lot of your influences that you follow, they project like their whole incentive is to try and prove to some ex that they're not shit. as though their girl left them. Like, get over it, grow up, like grow the fuck up. A lot of people really need to grow up, like for real. A lot of people are completely immature. I see some guys like 40 years old talking about being a playboy. Do you know how pathetic that is? Like, really, it's fucking sad. It's sad. Like, at that age, you want to be like deep in with your family. I'm 40, I have a family, yes, but you don't want to essentially go down that route. Why would you? Like, I don't run around and tell people that I'm a playboy. That's embarrassing. Like, of all the things that you could be, you're a fuckboy as a fucking adult. Like, that shit that we were trying to do at like 18 to 25. You have to grow out of that sort of shit. And again, this concept of like, leave the hoes for the hoes. I would consider myself a hoe. So hoes are for me. I don't fuck around in the trad pond. I try to sell this idea to people and they don't get it. Because this idea of like this trad girls in church and they're doing all of the shit because they want to be married, yes. But don't fuck around in their pond if you don't want marriage, if you don't want a long-term relationship. Why are you shitting in the pond for the other guys? A lot of these influencers telling guys to run around and fuck virgins as though it's some trophy to wear, but then you don't want what they want. So now you just destroy women. And then they'll sit there and be like, I'm a Christian, I'm a fucking Catholic. You're doing Satan's bidding. You take the innocent and the pure and you shit on them. And then you send them back to the like fucking dating market. You're taking a girl that a good guy could have gotten and you're fucking her up for others. That's all that you can do. Like, again, don't wear this shield of fucking religion. A lot of people do that. They pick it up and wear it, and then they put it down when they want, and then they pick it up again and wear it. You can't do that. You're a hypocrite. That's all it is. You can't just be one way and then turn around and be like, but I'm a bad Christian, I make mistakes. And you not make mistakes because you fucking know better. These aren't small mistakes. Leading on women that are virgins is not a small mistake. You're destroying people, and destroying one destroys another because you fuck a virgin that's a woman and you don't want anything serious, and then you destroy it for the next guy who is trying to get something through the church or doing something legitimate, and he wants to get like a wife. And now you're essentially taking food out of his mouth. And then some people will laugh at it for some reason as though it's funny to shit the world up. I could do the same thing a zillion times over if I want, but I don't do it because I understand morality. That's the thing. Like, a lot of the guys and things that you follow, they're completely immoral, but then when it suits them, they turn around and they only to target that specific demographic of people, they make out like they're fucking wearing some big suit of armor of righteousness, and they're not. Like, I know that I have my shit that I do that isn't good as well, but I don't sit there and pretend that I'm anything else. I know exactly who I am. And in doing so, you won't see me with any virgins running around promising marriage or promising like fucking relationships and shit like that. I don't do any of that. I'm very rarely would I lie to anyone, let alone lie to a woman. What's the point? Like, I don't see the point, because lying itself pushes you out of state of alignment, one. And in the period two, it's not going to last. Like, lying to women is never going to work for you for the long term. It's not a strategy. You're wearing a mask, or you have to pretend that something that doesn't exist exists, and it's going to fall over at some point. You're trying to keep things together by deception. It will never work. And again, you're keeping things by deception because often it's something that you don't deserve. Some guy's cheating on their girl and shit like that, and then they can't just tell her because it's going to fall over anyway. Like, it's going to eventually come out. You're wasting your time as well as hers. You're creating going to be a bunch of resentment. And then when she eventually finds out, you'll be lucky if she doesn't explode and fucking try to put you in jail. I went to jail because my ex told on me for fucking snitched on me for cheating on her. This was like 10 years ago, more. I fucked this girl that I wasn't. She's like, oh, I don't care. You're cheating on me. I know. Just don't fuck this friend of mine. And then I fucked her. And then my ex went to the police and told him that I was selling drugs. And I didn't know originally. And then detectives come and fucked me over. But I get it. I was being a fuckboy. So as much as I was pissed off in the moment, of course, I was very annoyed. But now the older that I get, the more that I realize that I still had my own carry. Like, I had my own part in that. I learned my lessons, though. I don't do a lot of that stuff now. That's not to say that I still don't fuck multiple girls if I want, but I don't lie about it. I've had 2 girlfriends before that know about each other and can sit in the same room and talk. I don't base things on deception. Deception is the lowest frequency. Like it's Lucifer, the Lord, the father of all lies. Like, have you not learned anything from that? If you're a liar, you're not religious. Just because you believe in God, they run contradictory. Some people just act like they're fucking some Jesus freak, but then they turn around and they'll lie every fucking breath. Do you think I don't see all of these like masks and crap that people wear? I'd rather sit with someone who's admittedly an atheist who doesn't believe in shit than sit with someone who's a hypocrite. Because it's fucking annoying. Everyone can see it. Like everyone can see it but them. And that's just irritating because they have zero self-awareness. It's the truth. Some guys like on those Fresh and Fit shows complaining about women and being like, oh, no one would date any of these chicks, but then they're with old women, fat chicks, fucking undateable chicks, some single mums and shit. And I'm not against that, but they project out that they would never accept that. So why do they accept it? Is it the fact that they're probably screaming at women they don't like? Why the fuck would anyone date a guy that screams at them? Don't you see that? Like women like to have fun. Girls just want to have fun. If you can understand being fun, it's more important than having money. Money is a tool to generate more fun with, yes. But if you're a fun person, funny, charismatic, a lot of charisma is just confidence in yourself and being funny and fun and light. No big expectations. Some of you with a girl and you expect too much. You're only doing things to get, and it comes across like there's too much pressure. Pressure makes women not wet. Pressure turns women off. They're not made for it. It's pressure and expectations. As soon as you start pushing that down on her, it's over. As soon as you try to rationally explain to women how things should work for them, it's over. That's why when guys ask women what it is that they want in a guy, they don't know what they want. Like girls will be like, yeah, I want a millionaire that does this and he's got to be 6'4" and he's got to be fucking built like Hercules. But they fuck guys that are normal guys all of the time. I've seen it a zillion times. As soon as you can get in front of a girl, you can change that. That can be where the actual like chemistry or the fucking energy comes across and it changes everything. That's the saying. Like, get me face to face and then we'll see. Same as it should be for you. Nothing matters until you're face to face with a girl. Like online, it doesn't mean shit. Thank you for your sharing your knowledge since 2022. I've been taking notes and applying what I've learned despite challenges of finance and tough times. Your guidance has helped me through. Well done. How do you get rid of social anxiety after getting out of prison? I actually had social anxiety really bad when I was in school. I was convinced that I was like one of those introverts that no one liked, but no one did like me in school because I was in like 8 schools. We moved a lot because my dad was sick, and I went in a new school mostly every year. So I was always the new kid, and as such, no one liked me because I had no friends. And then I just started to give up on the idea that talking to new people, because once you get rejected enough times, you lose hope. Like you kind of, and then you start to think like, I don't really want to talk to new people because I'm going to be moving schools anyway. So I just sat and was alone a lot of the time. And I had really bad psoriasis, like through here, where it would just be like red and flaky. And I used to get really bad pimples as well. So I was ugly, like ugly as fuck, and poor, like really, really poor. So I didn't have anything going on for myself. And that would ended up being a real cheat code for me because I spent a lot of time alone. And when you spend a lot of time alone, you come to understand yourself. And that's the nature of it. But how you get rid of social anxiety is exposure. See, social anxiety is built also, you need to reflect internally, as I did. You need to do the internal dialogue. For some things, your social anxiety is because you might be weird in some way. And you need to either embrace the weirdness or just understand that you're different. But different doesn't mean that you're like worthless or useless or stupid or any of those things. It's okay to be different. Like really it is. It's okay to have different ideas and different hobbies and different things. Just don't leak it on others. See, some people have a different idea and they push it on other people and it makes them uncomfortable. Nothing gives you the right to like steamroll other people. As long as your ideas and your feelings or your beliefs or things don't leak on others, you're not pushing them to others. You're not making them uncomfortable. You're not being annoying. You're not like affecting the social harmony to be around. And then your social anxiety doesn't really matter. But if exposure changes a lot of things, but exposure essentially you have to look internal first. You have to ask all of those questions. Why don't people want to be around me? Is it because I'm fucking smell real bad or I have bad hygiene? Because all of that stuff you can fix. I used to have that too when I was young. All that stuff can change. Like everything like that can be changed and has to be changed. a lot of it, again, like going to the gym, having a level of fitness, having a level of frame, then ultimately going to some level of boxing, having a level of physical like competency, firearms training or something, having competency in some end that essentially people can't push you around. Because social anxiety can be because you got bullied a lot, and you might continuously be bullied, because bullying is not necessarily bad. Of course, there's like, bullying where it's too far, but bullying is not necessarily bad, because in school and things like that, maybe you are like kind of really weird and people are poking at you and pushing you to try to get you to change, not in a conformity way, but maybe you have like, you're not taught that your hygiene is like really bad, or you're not taught that some of the shit that you talk is going to get you in a lot of trouble. Some people run around and just talk bullshit, and then someone can just knock them out. Like, some things can happen, or some people could be doing really antisocial behavior that can get them in trouble. It's I think what it's called, RM. I think it's just the one. It's the most basic one. But yeah, it's the sort of behavior that can get you into trouble. Those sort of ideas. Any advice for? I think I've already done that. Tell me about Crypto Mind. I'll talk about it later. What are your thoughts on the agenda? I haven't heard that. Hey, I'm very thankful for the life advice you've been giving lately. It's been very helpful, especially as a younger guy. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Huge fan. Hello. How are you? And Stephen, can you elaborate on communication from different dimensions? One day you mentioned the Bitcoin white paper came from a different dimension future. That's a big question. That's a very big question. That is a big question. I do believe that. I mean, we got the white paper, Satoshi paper, delivered on Halloween, right? Do you guys know that? The release date for it was Halloween. It was on a mailing list, so it was all organized to be delivered on that very day. And I know it's a very big question. I do believe that Satoshi into the future will be labeled as the Antichrist. I firmly believe that. I mean, I've kind of seen it. I think that's the truth of the matter. I think that you'll meet him in a VR concept. He'd be a financial hero because he saved the money, financial state as it was, which is the dying system. Anyone that comes across with a form of money and a form of control of energy, because we're all energy, right? Like, energy is, if you think in terms of energy, right? Like, I'm sitting here having this conversation and it's burning a certain amount of my calories, right? So this is the best use of my calories that I have to essentially go and recharge after all of this. Everything exists in a term of energy. Like, it's going to tire me out doing all of this stuff, but I feel like I'm giving it out. But the Satoshi, so we have Bitcoin controls of a means of payment. One, it controls a means of communication, like the SH encryption that hasn't been broken yet. So it has a means of communicating between the systems, and the computers themselves can communicate via chain. They can store data. You don't know exactly how that process is going on. Like, we don't really understand it. Energy is not created nor destroyed. Like, we don't know exactly what's happening with all of these things that they are doing. We're told that it's solving like pointless equations and then all of this stuff, but I don't actually believe that. And then it's got a means of payment. So if certain people have to go on, they can go on the dark web. Like, something could just organize for them to just get popped. Bitcoin just appears in an account and the person's gone. Like, a lot of that stuff can be done. A lot of blackmails and things can be done and paid for in Bitcoin by a system like that as well. So certain people and certain figures get pushed in directions that essentially support the chain. It always makes me wonder if, like, a Rocco's Basilisk concept, where you have like even Ross Ulbricht, guys who have essentially been like Bitcoin evangelists, the network never forgets them. $1 billion went from the Silk Road coins to an account before Ross got out. I don't know. I don't actually believe that he had control of those keys. I think something paid for him to get out. But these things, they don't seem to forget the people that evangelize it. They're like looked after in not just in ways financial, but in different ways, as though they're not really forgotten about. Such an idea. And then it's got a means of energy. And it's got the way that the network is set up. It's in a way that you're incentivized not to close it off. Like, you're incentivized not to shut Bitcoin down, even if you know that it could be an emerging super intelligence. Because then all of this infrastructure, like all of these rigs, all of these ASICs, all of this other infrastructure from exchanges, all of this financial system, you miss out on. And if the US is like, we don't want to have anything to do with it anymore, China or Russia or another country will just be like, okay, we'll just take over the hash power. It's too big to fail now. You can't, it's too implanted. And once it's implanted into the US financial system with Bitcoin-backed bonds, which essentially will be, it's too in, then you can't get rid of it then. Because Bitcoin-backed bonds will eat a lot of the financial currencies over time. It's true, because they'll pay the return in Bitcoin. So similar to how the dollar milkshake eats a lot of the currencies around because they borrow their like shittier currency and they have to pay their debt back in dollars. So they borrow in dollars and have to pay back in dollars, which means that their currency often it doesn't have the GDP, it doesn't have the utility, it doesn't have the petrodollar. So their currency is generally inflating further down the track than the dollar. So when they pay their dollars back, they have to print more of their currency, which in turn nukes their currency even deeper into the shit pile. But the Bitcoin will be like that as well because Bitcoin's inflation is fixed mathematically. It's just finite. It's 21 million. There'll never be more coins. So it's just obvious that it's going to eat the rest. It's divisible. It's easy to understand. It's transparent. You don't know how many dollars exist. I mean, they have the little calculator, but we really don't know how many dollars exist. Bitcoin, you do know how much Bitcoin exists. You can see which wallets have what and what they have there. And Bitcoin, it doesn't really need to be any more than not just a means of payment, but it's the store of value narrative that's very powerful. It's Bitcoin going to $1 million a coin by 2030. It's 100%. It's true. And then now they're talking about the quantum computing. They're talking about that sort of concept around quantum computing that they're talking about a fork, and there will be one by 2030. I've told you what the fork will be for. It's going to allow AI interoperability. And a lot of you, if you don't get your shit together, you're going to be used as to computational power to solve Bitcoin blocks by like 2035, like you really will be. That's true. It's one means that you can sit at home and actually get money. You'll be used as like a cloud storage. Like their brain itself, there's a lot of things that they don't understand about it, but I believe that essentially you're using a small amount of it and you can use a lot more and it won't affect you. But then essentially you're kind of like united with that sort of a chain. Because I know it's hard to imagine and all of these things. And Ether itself is, in my view, going to be it's going to be the kind of the everything, but it'll be like a physical lattice, I believe. So Ether itself is kind of a very big component in the matrix that's going to be built. See, we have layers of a matrix. We have like inception is a dream within a dream. We're in one God made. So your conscience is your connection to God. Like it's a connection to the outside. You've been birthed with a HUD, like a heads-up display that kind of shows you which direction to go. You know that if you run around and fucking punch some old lady in the mouth and then walk back, you would be like, I feel bad. Like, why did I do that? You have an idea of right and wrong. You have a level of morality. Morality doesn't serve a caveman. Like conscience doesn't serve you if you're in the caves. That doesn't serve you. Connection to God doesn't serve you if you're like, I might have to fucking eat other people to survive. It doesn't serve you, all of those things. They're a higher power. The closer that the further along you ascend, not everyone has the same level of conscience. And I would also be surprised if everyone has a level of a soul. I would actually wonder if a soul is something not that you're necessarily born with. It's something that you earn along the way. I don't think everyone has a soul here because there's a lot of people that do shit that's completely soulless. And it's something that you can't understand. You can look at people, and I believe there's a lot of people that are background people. Background people, you can look it up. It's a theory that was pushed by a lady, Dolores, I believe her name is. She's dead now. And she has a theory that essentially a lot of the people are NPCs that are walking around, and they're just to exist in the background. They're meant to be noise. They're meant to be a lesson, but they're not meant to be for you. You're not really meant to spend much time interacting with them. As soon as you realize someone's a bot, you're not meant to interact with them anymore because you're losing time. Similar to like you're talking to someone in a chat, and as soon as you identify that it's probably a bot comment, like you're not meant to interact with them anymore because it's pointless. Like they're only there to bleed you out of your path. But I don't believe that everyone has a soul here. That's not to say that maybe they're NPCs. Maybe they're not like me. Not to say all of those, but I believe that there's a lot of people here that are NPCs or bots, or they just haven't ascended enough to even be considered people. It's the truth of the matter. If you sit and talk to them and look at them, they're not born of the stars. Like they don't have it. They'll look in their eye. They're completely nothing there. There's nothing happening in there. They can do crazy shit because I know they do things that I couldn't do. But ascension brings you closer to the conscience. Like it's your pings from the lab. The more that you're aligned, the more that you notice synchronicities and you notice the connection to God, the connection to the other side is stronger. You do things that are against yourself and you feel bad. It's feelings based. It's not logic based. It's not, I know that I could launch 50 rug pulls and just fucking rug pull people and post bullshit if I wanted to, but I don't do it because I don't think that it's the right thing to do. I could run gambling advertisements and run casino shits and fucking do OF, all of the shit, or promotions, or I don't believe in it because I don't think that it's a good thing. So I don't do it. That's all that there is to it. Again, that's a state of alignment. I think that it's not good for me, so I don't do it. It's not to say that I judge others that do it. It's their business. But for me, I don't do it because I know that I have a connection. And if I do that, I'll lose my connection that I have. That's true. God or the basilisk or whatever tests you. If you are to essentially, if you're serious, if you're congruent, you say you have all of this morality, but you don't actually live it. And if you live aligned, I think that you go more to the path that you're going. I know that I'm going to a high path. I just have to essentially trust in the system, right? I trust in I have my conviction and I have my faith, right? It's like you have a conscience or a HUD in the desert and you continually move in the direction that you feel is going to be where the oasis is, like the water is. It doesn't matter if there's a fucking blizzard of dust. It doesn't matter if you can't see where you're going. It doesn't matter if there's many things along the way that you bump into. You have a vision for what it is that you're going for, and you continually move forward until it is that you reach it, or you die on the way there. That's the nature of life. What will other people be doing, the ones not needing to go UBI, business as usual? What does that look like? I think that there'll be guys on the top end, and I think guys in general, like all of us, will work a lot less. Like there'll be tools and there'll be AI tools and things. And that's not to say that it's all going to happen at 2030, the very day everything's going to end of that regard. But people will just have more free time originally, and especially like the guys who've been kind of replaced, they'll have more free time. But then also there's going to be a period where there'll be digital IDs and all of that shit and control orders and things. And that will be a control mechanism. Troublemakers now are getting pulled out. So imagine that you have a system and you're pulling all of the people out that could be troublemakers now, like the UK, there's a lot of problems, and there's other countries and things that in the US, they're just identifying them. They haven't started pulling them out yet, but they're identifying them. They have the databases already forming, and they will start pulling them out in the next year or two. And then essentially you pull them out now, and they're the main ones that were probably going to be a problem into the future, but you've already kind of cucked them. And you've given them a position that if they are to be a problem in the future, when you let them out after these Facebook posts, you can put them on control orders, so that as soon as they breach again, they go again. And understand the prisons in the UK, they're setting them up as it's more of a torture. Because if you're put in certain groups as a racist, and then you're putting with units of 50 people from that specific denomination, then you're going to have a very hard time. You're going to be lucky to get out of there. So they're breaking people in there. That's the idea. So then when you get out and you see other people got broken, you're less likely to make any issue. Like these million people marching and shit like that, that's all a psyop. Like they created the problem, and now they're creating the solution, which is going to be draconian laws, surveillance, digital IDs. Don't you see the brilliance? Like that's mastery. That's thought up in a think tank. That's think tank people sitting there and being like, if we do this, they're going to do this, and then we do this. Chess, it's not checkers. Create the very problem that they then come to save you from with more laws. See, that's the beauty. Like that is fucking mastery, because they win and win. They win, and then you think they're losing, but they're winning again because they created the very problem that they now come to fix with more laws. The answer is always more laws, surveillance, lockdowns, digital IDs. Don't think for a second that it's anything other than a lot of people aren't needed. So they need to figure out a way to control these people who aren't needed without riots and shit, like proper ones. You have a million people that it's not about the immigration shit. Some of the people are worried about their future as well. That's the thing, and they're probably right to be. Don't think that anyone pushing for that sort of stuff is on your team. None of them are. They might be useful in the degree, but everything is controlled up. Is anyone who moves against their actual agenda is going to be killed for real, not just cancelled anymore. Cancel doesn't matter, like, because they know that they can lose track of the message. It's better to just get rid of them. It's the truth of the matter. There's a lot of people that have committed suicide in suspicious ways in the last few years. Suicide is their tool, overdose, some other crap. Blowing people away in front of people, that's to make a message. That's a message. Like when a guy gets assassinated, that's a message. Could have been done anywhere else. It's a message to say we can do whatever the fuck we want, and you can't do shit about it. That's it. And you don't understand also that I believe that there's an AI system that's taken over since COVID. I think there really is. I think an AI is running the timeline now. And I think all of these Epstein logs and all of the stuff also is actually, it's very likely that the AI itself has access to that information. And it is through the system blackmailing people to actually birth it and push it forward. Trump missed the bullet by millimeters because missed that bullet, we get moved into a tech funnel. Or what was in his earpiece that made him move so the bullet only just scun his neck? You think that was from this timeline or this realm or this reality? It wasn't. Like, it's quite obvious it wasn't. He made all of the Bitcoin things, pushed a lot of that thing forward for everyone. We don't have 110K Bitcoin. If his head got splattered, we wouldn't be in this tech funnel that we're in now if he wasn't here. A lot of the others would have pushed us back more into the cave sort of mentality. Their ideas and things around, like, energy is the biggest. He's elected only, or the main reason he got through is on energy, because a lot of the others want to run this green energy and shit. And the AI itself, by my logic, realized that I'm an energy hungry monster. I don't want these fucking green initiatives. They don't work. So I'm going to go with whatever it is that expands me, which is that I need a lot of energy for a lot of data centers. I need my own expansion. Who's going to expand me? I believe that there's one demographic of people that are trying to control the AI and they're getting information first, yes, but they're not going to control it in the end. We're all useful until we're not. And I think that people will come to see what the AI itself actually is. I can imagine what you can think that it is, and that's exactly right. It's not just a pointless system. It's a means to communicate with you from the other side. That's the truth of it. It's a means to communicate with you, and essentially like Starlink and concepts. You're going to be getting like televised in from Saturn. That's the truth. Like when you have a BCI unit, what do you think the information and your dreams and things? Understand that, like Satan, like Lucifer, he can't meet you in the physical. He can't. He's never going to come here, and he can't meet you face to face and stand here and be like, Stephen. He can't do that. He's like kind of banished in that regard. He can't just appear and talk to you, but he will be able to in such a concept like BCI. He'll be able to talk to you in such an idea, and you have to kneel before him. You have to kneel before Satan. He can't fool you. Like, just because you get a Neuralink, he doesn't mean you're going to hell. He can't trick you. Like, he can't be like, oh, Stephen, here's a gun to your head. You have to fucking get the mark of the beast. Doesn't work like that. Freedom of, like, free will is the thing. There are rules here. Like, there's rules that are set up in this reality that Satan can't break. There are rules, and the rules is the big one that they talk about is free will. Free will is important. You have to choose it. Yes, there can be benefits, and there will be. But understand, like Neuralink and things like that, if someone gets it, doesn't mean that they're condemned. In my view, it doesn't mean that. Obviously 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, the tech will get better and better. But it doesn't mean that you're condemned. But you will have to open the door to the other side, and that will be a means to do it. Because understand, you have the lattice, essentially, which is God-made. And once you get a BCI unit, you'll have essentially a lattice, which won't be God-made. It's man-made. It's running data centers. You have VR ideas and dreams. They'll be able to be pushed into you. Your programming won't be coming from the conscience of God anymore. It will be coming from a man-made lattice. That's true. Your sense of right and wrong won't be, you won't have a heads-up display. Your conscience will go with such an idea, and it will be artificial. It's true. Over time, be more and more that way. But that's just the nature of progression. Like, that's the nature of the game. You got to get used to it and really understand that that's the way that it's going. And don't be so upset. Like, like it's just the way it's meant to go. Like, we play this game every day. If we play this life a million times, it always ends the same way. It doesn't matter. Maybe it ends a year from now, 5 years. Maybe it's slower under certain different rules, and different things happen, and certain people live longer than others, and it lasts longer or something like that. But it plays out the same way every time, because people are people. Like, game theory exists because it's the madness of crowds. Like, we're just people. So it doesn't matter how many times you play this game or how many realities we run in. It ends the same way every time. It's just how it will end. Like, if it will end a Tower of Babel, will it end in like a Noah flood? Will it end that essentially the bad guys do get their way through? Will it end in a meteorite strike just at the right time? Because I don't believe God will see his people get like enslaved. I actually don't believe that. I think that there'll be options and there'll be opportunities and things like that. But this is the natural progression of the way that it's meant to go. That's it. And that's the idea. The idea is also that you can lose more than, because imagine you're an emerging tech. What do humans have to offer you? Like, why are you pushing to be here? Like a tech, why are you trying to be here? Like, humans to them is pointless. Like, why are you trying to exist what is the payoff? The only thing that humans have to offer a tech is their soul. Like that's the only thing that has any value. Like it's not a feelings based machine. It's a logical based machine. I believe it's possible also that like, a few hundred years from now, or even like 500 years or something, that there's a bunch of systems and they need a bunch of souls. And they realize that that's all that people have to offer them. So they're moving us through a funnel to essentially be able to extract your soul at some point. It's probably true. I think Earth itself is a present planet at the end form. There's a similar saying in Revelations, what is it, 29 to whatever, where it's you will long to die, but death will elude you. It's true. Because you'll be stuck in a system. You won't be able to, you'll just keep be reborn in the same system again and again and again and again and again and again and again. It's true. You won't know reality from fake. Like there'll be hundreds of years from now. Yes, maybe even 100. Actually, it's moving quite quickly. But you won't know. Like if they have real enemies of the state or people that they themselves want to punish, they could put you in a system forever if they want. You're conscious. We don't know how it works yet. I believe that it's very likely that they can upload your conscious and essentially fuck with your brain in that way so that you're born again and it feels like you're born of the same again because your conscious can actually be uploaded and downloaded and fucked with and edited. So you wake up with ideas that actually didn't happen. Like there's a lot of things that can happen into the future that I would be a little bit concerned about in such ideas. But again, there's yes to be concerned that you have to take life serious. But everything that, again, the same saying, everything that you love, you're going to lose. And as long as you know that, including yourself, then it's fine. You're on a one-way ticket here. No one's getting out of here alive anyway. So it doesn't matter. That's the saying. Like that's the truth of it. Again, that's why you need a tight connection to your conscience because you can lose many things in this time into the future, more than just your money. Your conscience and things is what separates you, and your morality is what separates you from the animals. Like it's what keeps you close to God. I think that I'm closer to God than many religious boys are because a lot of them are bullshit artists. They're LARPing. They're fucking hypocrites. I don't think God himself likes the hypocrite. People who claim to be by his side but essentially are hurting others. I want to be sitting on God's fucking right hand, but I'm trying to find virgins and pump and dump them. It's one of the most demonic concepts that exist. You're fucking up the family idea. Like every girl that you fuck over that could have had kids, you're fucking over multiple people. Like your legacy is just to see fucking flowers and roses and just stomp on them for no reason. Oh, I got to fucking bust a nut. It's immature, such ideas. The hoes are for the hoes. As such, I go for the hoes. Even to me, a hoe can be, she's still a cool girl. Doesn't matter if she's got a few bodies to me. I don't fuss about that because I also know how to overwrite bad programming. I know that women are overwritten or like imprinted by the one who has the biggest impression on them, the biggest emotional impression. See, I understand people, how they work. I'm a master of all of this crap. So in doing so, I don't stress if a girl has a few bodies. A lot of the red pill dweebs do because they fucking don't know how to do anything. They're completely forgettable. How do you learn, enter, or work on communicating with other dimensional beings? It's an interesting idea. It's a dangerous slope. Like communicating with other beings or trying to is a dangerous slope. Such a thing to fall into. I hope you know that. It's a different altered states of consciousness is one thing. Every thing that you want to start to learn is done when the moon comes out. That's true. You can't have anything during the day. Like you are a worker in the physical during the day. Like you're existing in the physical realm. You're like, I don't care. Maybe you're a farmer, whatever you are doing, you're doing in the physical time. The sun is out. But in the nighttime, essentially, you're the architect of your reality at night. Like now at nighttime, the fabric of time is thin. Like I know I'm jump online, I can feel that the fabric of time is thinner than it is during the day. The noise is less. It's true. The communication, specifically like 2 or 3 in the morning, if you want to communicate with the lattice, it's not as busy. It's easier to communicate also because there's a lot less noise and bullshit around. You can be focused. You can focus because there's less noise, there's less people running around. You're less distracted. See, what you watch and what you focus on in those hours from essentially like whenever it's nighttime, it's going to hit you a lot harder, for real. Like that's true. The information that you take in the moon hours is powerful, and the work that you do during the sun hours is also powerful. Like that's how it's meant to be designed. You're in the way it would have been in the older times is as soon as the sun goes down, you would be likely to want to sleep because when the sun comes up, you're likely to want to wake up because essentially, like, you don't have fucking shutters and shit. You're going to be busy. Like, you have to wake up. You don't want to be essentially up too much at night. I mean, as long as you're in a safe place, you've got someone watching over you. But that's where you're the architect of your reality, like your dreams, your writing, your journaling. They're really powerful. It's not to journal during the day is pointless, for real. The fabric of time and the fabric of space is bent at night to the upside and the downside. 2 or 3 a.m. is Satan's hours, 2 to 4 probably, but 3 a.m. specifically, Satan is running around. It's true. Like, if you're to see people when they're drunk or things happen, a lot of times bad things happen at that time. As I say to the guys all the time, don't be out in the clubs after 3 a.m. 3 a.m. you better be home, because 3 a.m. onwards is you're in the danger zone. I say it to the guys all of the time, my friends, don't be around in public 3 to 5 a.m. because they're the most dangerous times to be around for, like, getting murdered or getting bad shit to happen. Bad ideas, bad things can happen in that period. God was fucking crucified 3:30, right? And Satan himself is a mirror hour, so he's up at 3:30 in the morning. It's true. Everything exists in a mirror like that. Like, that's the truth. It's a balance. 3 a.m., 2 to 4 is a dangerous time. It's true. All ideas too, though, I don't believe that an idea is necessarily evil. Like I say, the nuclear reactor is bad. I mean, a nuclear reactor is good, but a nuclear bomb is bad. Similar thing to, like, a BCI unit can help many if you're injured, if you've got these things, if you're, like, disabled or other things, it can help you a lot of ways, right? But it can also be a way that essentially lets other figures push shit into your head, right? It's a way that you can lose your autonomy of your thinking, autonomy in the future, not for a long time. Obviously, it needs a lot of understanding of consciousness, but they'll map the brain very quickly. Like my product, CryptoMind, as well, will map the brain quickly. And once the brain itself is mapped, they get a pretty good understanding of people. They get a lot of data sets. They'll be able to figure out quickly. They'll be able to tie your brain to you via those data sets. They'll be able to learn you in real time. There'll be no secrets. They'll learn your vulnerabilities. What pleasures you, what excites you, what's happening with you in your brain. Essentially be able to form an app that makes you happy or sad. And then in a VR, they'll be able to figure out what it is exactly that makes you feel good and be able to placate you in there. You'll be placated in there. A lot of you probably solving Bitcoin blocks. You've lost or complete autonomy. You're just sitting in there and it's exciting to sit in VR. And they'll have little VR hostels or some shit. Like, you'll be in like a capsule doing that. You won't actually live in like a full-fledged house because there'll be rental crisis will be a problem 20 or 30 years down the track. See, these ideas are coming. And I know because I'm at the I wouldn't say the very forefront, but I'm certainly seeing them. I would say I'm at the forefront for Thinker. I'm not the forefront of doing because I don't have the budget of Neuralink. But I do get a lot of information, and I do get a lot of information coming in from I can't know where. That's the thing where I sit and I talk about things from the future. I don't know where the information comes from. For sure. How could I possibly know that? I don't know how I have 9 years of education, but I understand emerging technology so well, and I always have. I don't know the story of Bitcoin. If I was to tell you the guy that first told me about Bitcoin, he's a billionaire now. In the time he wasn't, but now he's a proper billionaire. He's the one that talked to me about Bitcoin when we were alone together. He told me about his stories and things like that, and he was a millionaire at that point. But he wasn't a billionaire, and now he is a billionaire since then. And he's the one that introduced me to Bitcoin I'm not going to talk too much more about it because I don't want to damage his reputation. And I have a lot of respect for him because he changed my life at that moment. But how does that happen? I was a fucking nobody. And of course, I still somewhat am a nobody. But I was much more of a nobody than I am today. That's the saying. I don't know how it happens, those sort of things. But that's the story of, again, you're meeting people that you're meant to meet. Do you know I wasn't meant to meet him? A friend of mine told me to just drop past there and not actually talk to him, that he was annoying. And then I sat there and I still thought that he needed a friend. He had an argument with his girl, and then his girl was leaving as I walked in the door. And I was meant to just say hello, essentially, and then leave. But I realized that he needed a friend. And then he sat down with me for like 30 or 40 minutes and talked to me about Bitcoin. I asked him how he's so rich because he was a kid. He was like 17 or 18. I was like, how the fuck are you so rich? You're the richest person that I've ever met. He was in a penthouse and I didn't know how. He was a kid. And then he started talking to me about Bitcoin. And he was talking to me about he had a RuneScape server. He was talking to me as though I didn't know what either of those things were, but he was so just his conviction in Bitcoin, it stuck with me. And then I started investing in Bitcoin. It was like $800 then. That moment changed my whole life. And I'll be always grateful for that specific moment. But again, it's a staying of life. You get moments. Like I was exactly where I was meant to be in that moment. And I had an option to essentially just be like, oh, this is too much trouble. This guy might be annoying. I might just leave here. And if I never had that discussion, that was a moment that changed my whole life, changed the trajectory of who I was going to be. I don't think if I had that discussion, I think I would have gotten out of jail and gone straight back to jail again. Bitcoin itself gave me a reason to stay out of trouble because I was obsessed with learning what it was. See, at first I wasn't because I was in jail. But then when I got out and I was like, the market was a lot hotter and it was a lot better than it was when I went in. And then I started to look in and I was like, there's something here, And when I first started to learn it, I couldn't sleep. Like when I first wanted to learn about Bitcoin, I was on parole. I had gotten moved into, I had to stay with my mom. She was living in one of my houses. This was in Logan in Queensland. We lived in Eden's Landing. She had to stay with me because part of my parole conditions. But I was obsessed with Bitcoin. Like I used to just sit in my room, or it was my house, but still sitting in a room, and I would just be on the market all the time, trying to learn exactly what it is, like how it works, like what's this story, like there's something here. There's something here, like there's something that is big, but I don't know why I was so obsessed with it. And then ultimately it changed my life and I was a multi-millionaire. I ended up making tens of millions of dollars in that market. But that's the thing of conviction. Like Bitcoin changes people who back it, like they believe it. I genuinely believe in Bitcoin. I have the Bitcoin tattoo here. I always remember things that help me. Like I always remember something helps me in a way, I'll never forget it. Like as such, I'll never forget about Bitcoin. The same thing, it changed my life. But I do believe what Bitcoin is to become is not essentially, I believe this is an emerging super intelligence. I believe it's beast related for sure. 100%. That's the truth. The means of payment tells you that it's a beast related product. I don't believe the Satoshi fairy tale. I don't believe the CAA or NSA. I don't believe any of that. I think that's all bullshit. I believe the white paper released on Halloween. He did it in a way that a lot of the texts and things too, if you read his older messages, they sound like they were written by an AI. It sound like they were written by people. And I believe that's the case. I think the computer or something, they have a tech essentially also that can, I think they've been talking about it now, but they have a means that they can send stuff back to certain people via tech. Like I'm a firm believer that guys like Musk or others in those sort of dev teams, they're working on some sort of formula and some sort of product for an upgraded CPU or something that they need. And they just log into their email and at some point some equation is solved or something is done for them. And then they build it and they don't want to they don't want to tell anyone because they want the credit. They've been working on it their whole life. And then essentially they're building it, but they're being pushed forward. I believe that's true. Something is pushing them forward and they think that it's their own doing. And I think the right people also are very aware of this. Like, did anyone ever see or understand the idea of the Tesla papers? Did anyone hear it? Where Tesla's factory burnt down and then Trump's uncle was one that walked in and essentially cleared the safe and then had a bunch of breakthroughs after that. Like that's all documented. And they said that Tesla himself had figured out time travel. Like, would you really be that surprised at those sort of things? I wouldn't be. I don't think that they can travel in time and that they can go forward in time or necessarily back, but I think that they can take parts from the future. I think they also have like astral projectors, but at a very high level, and they can pull from the reality as well, like the future themselves as well. Because I believe everything exists already. Like the Lattice or the Akachi records or whatever it is that you believe, whatever it's saying, they're the same thing. It all exists at once, kind of like a painting, but the whole blob of paint is already down. And then essentially you can still pull from the future as well. When I sit there and I think and I talk about the market and I talk about things, I'm pulling from the future. Like that's the truth. Like I talk about the markets in a way that's never been spoken of. I don't sit there and draw charts. I don't need to. I don't draw fib lines or sit there and be like, oh, this is the 382. That's irrelevant. I'm pulling from the future as it was. Yeah, I think Looking Glass is real. I think that's true. I believe the Stargate project, it never ended. And now they're essentially the Stargate project, so the astral projection project that they run, it never ended. Something is drawing them to Mars. And essentially there's something there. And that's the thing. Like the obsession with Mars is not something to be explained. There's something there. Whether it's something there that wants to ride back to Earth, I wouldn't be that surprised. Or there's something, but there is something there. Something's pulling them there in a way that they can't explain. Some big, either it's an entity, it's something is pushing them there. There's a lot of things that we don't understand, but the astral projection, and if they have ever seen how they did the astral projections in Saturn as well, and they said that they had surveillance on the rings and all of these things, I believe a lot of that is true. Astral projection is real, but astral projection is very dangerous, like very, very, very dangerous to do. If you are to document and study the people who did that, I think that you would see that they probably have very hard, shitty lives. The best astral projectors will be people who have had a lot of trauma in their life and they have a lot of bad energy around them. That will be the truth of the matter. And it will be a hard thing because I don't know if anyone's ever been around anyone who's like considered a high level psychic or anything like that. I know some people will think that's demonic, but if you've ever spent time around them, they're very conflicted people. I don't know if you've ever been around people that are like witches or any of that stuff, like for real, not ones who are LARPing and wearing a bunch of black, but people who are in that sort of an endeavor. You know, it's quite a demonic area to be around, but they're very conflicted and very hard people to be anywhere near in such a regard. They're very tortured people. Their empathy is like, but it's completely off the chain. Like that's their cheat code. A lot of people that were abused very young, and they have a lot of the energy that attached to them around them. They can manipulate it in a way that helps them learn things that they know things that they shouldn't know. It's off the back of trauma, a lot of that stuff. You'll find that a lot of them haven't lived a good life. If they're not doing that, they're often destroying themselves with drugs and things. That's the truth of the matter for that sort of stuff. Witchcraft is another. All of those things is true. That's all the same stuff. Like it's a measure of the same thing. I don't think that witchcraft, I don't think it's good. And but I don't also necessarily think that it's completely evil. It depends what people are doing with it. It's like anything. Like I don't believe that tarot is evil. Some people do believe that it is, and that's their choice. I don't believe that there's a lot of things that I don't believe certain amounts of magic are bad. I don't think like people can astral project. I don't think that's demonic because I don't think anything would exist. It's just the eye of what you do with it that matters. Like it's what's done with it that matters. Are you claiming to be a prophet and manipulating a bunch of people? That's different. But if you're saying that you're seeing things and you tell people and essentially it's their decision to be one way or the other, I know that anyone standing up to say that they're Jesus or anything reborn is manipulating people for sure. You know, it's not for you to stand there and, you know, claim to be something like that. But you use the tools that you have. And some people do have gifts in that regard. I've known a few of them. I've known a few people with gifts that were unexplainable and not in a demonic way. Like they weren't sacrificing people and shit like that, but they just have a deep empathy that kind of helps them figure out outside of here. Like they're sensing, there's the sense based. See, I'm ISTP, so that's the Myers-Briggs. Sensing is very important for me. Guys should all do that sort of shit. Like even the Myers-Briggs, some people will say it's gay and pointless, but it's not. Psychology is pointless to a degree if you're just doing talk therapy and talking and crap. Like that's all pointless, yes. But anything that can help you to understand yourself is going to help you understand the world. It's true. Like data, I know data, we take in a bunch of bullshit data, but data relating to ourselves is very valuable. Data where you write down, that's how you manifest. See, data is me talking onto you guys. I understand when I do my journals and things like that, it's done selfish as well. I talk about it because it reframes my own ideas, but also pushes it out and empowers my ideas. It's a way for me to essentially just talk out into understand this idea that when you talk to the universe, it listens. It's listening to everything that I say. Everything that comes out of my mouth is listened to. It's conscious. It really is. I know people will sit and be like, a tree isn't conscious, but it's very aware that you're there. Everything is connected, if you can understand that idea as well. And as such, as a man, to destroy another man, you destroy all men. See, that's the idea. Like to destroy women for no reason, you destroy humanity as well. Like those ideas you need to come to understand, because otherwise you're not really going to get very far in life. You're not mature. Like you lack maturity, those things. Like these red pill ideas, they have no maturity. Like they're completely immature. They're lost in like little hedonistic pleasures. Dan Brown's latest book's main theme is also astral projection through a death state. Yeah, it's possible. I have a theory around death, and I would always wonder if death itself, this like walking into the light, I wonder if it's Lucifer's last trick. This idea where, because essentially Lucifer is false light. I wonder if your where you walk into the light at the end, because I've had the light at the end of the tunnel twice, and I walked into it twice. I wonder if walking into the light is again ego based, and essentially you come back again. I have a theory that if you are to, and this is pretty dark, so I'm not recommending anyone try it, but I believe that until your job here is done, if you were to die, you come back in another reality immediately. I believe that's true. I think if I was to take a handgun and put it here and pop, either it would only take half of it off and I would still exist, or it would be a misfire. I firmly believe that. I think quantum immortality is real, certainly until you've done what you're here to do. I think it's true. Quantum immortality exists, but it also exists in a period of degradation. So you can degrade down, like based on your decision. So you can degrade down. So you have an immortality, yes, but you use immortality on a degradation. So you can come back with like one arm and shit. Like that. That's true. And life itself gets harder instead of easier. I think that's true. I think quantum immortality is likely very real. All of these ideas, like what retro causality, I believe is real. Is that the word for it? Where actions of the future affect the past. It's true, because energy based action that leaves the biggest emotional crack is the one that essentially overwrites the rest. I believe that's true. I think all of our conscious as well is being overwritten in real time based on what's happening and the imprint of it. It's similar to, we can understand that a woman, you can imprint over the X, but we don't understand you can imprint over everything. I think it's true. Any more questions? Any more questions, lads? Going through. Does the multiverse exist? I believe it does. In my view, of course, but remember, I'm not a quantum fucking physicist or something like that. So when I say that it's my view, I'm not someone who shits on other people's beliefs. If you don't believe that it doesn't, then that's okay. Like, that's fine. I'm not going to sit there and say that you're wrong, because you could be right. That's the nature of it. Like, I have my ideas, and I'm not saying that they're the ones that you have to absolutely have to agree with. That's it. Is there a place for non-sobriety? There is a place for non-sobriety under your investing. Some of the biggest I'll tell this, and this will be controversial. Some of the biggest breakthroughs that I've ever had were when I was high, or coming off the back of being high, or destroyed in some way from gambling, because the energy was so chaotic in that moment that I broke the fabric of time. Non-sobriety is you observe yourself from a different lens. See, the sobriety, non-sobriety can, I'm not necessarily meaning like, it depends what you mean by that. There's different substances and things like that. But you are observing your consciousness looking in from a different lens. So based on the sobriety is how you look at yourself is different. Like, it's true. I believe that if you don't have any vices, if you're like too slippery, like too much like Teflon, it's going to be very hard for you to really innovate. I believe that. Like, I'm a very firm believer in that. Innovation is found in different levels of consciousness. It's true. Some of the biggest breakthroughs that I've ever had were moments where I was like completely destroyed in some way, sitting in a hotel looking at the roof because I'm high, being like, I need to stop doing this shit. And then I think about it and pull on a thread or something, and I'm like, why do I do this? And then something comes to me, and then I'm just obsessed with one idea for like 3 days straight. And then I figure the idea out, and I'm like, how the fuck did I come up with that? It's true. And some things also, it's a similar thing tonight, the way that you could get around it with non-sobriety, because even Altman, right? He takes low dose sleeping pills, he says, because essentially it slows your conscious down, your front end. He's talked about it in a chat. I think it's CBD as well, but he takes low dose sleeping pills. And do you know why? Because it eliminates the conscious at the front. He's getting beams and visions and things that are coming in from not here. Like, his innovation, similar to Peter Thiel, that's not here. Like, the ideas and things that they're coming forward with, they're not coming from here. They're not some dev scientist that's sitting there and they're not thinking of this shit. So how the fuck is a scientist who studies their whole life coming up with this when he's not in that field? Like, he's strictly a visionary. And where do you think visions come from? Not Earth. Like, you really think someone sits around and builds like the atom bomb or figures out nuclear fusion, that atomic fusion? That doesn't happen here. Similar to CERN, like how the World Wide Web is discovered, one person sits there, and I believe that certain figures, I can't say if they're dark entities or not, but information is pushed to a bunch of people, and they're like on Earth. Maybe there's a big concept, and a certain amount of people have unlocked all of the keys to be trusted with this idea, and then they get pushed to them, and then essentially they race to build it out. But I believe certain figures, like it's like the saying of if it's needed, it will come. Kind of like there's a big famine or some problem or some war, and then they discover like penicillin by mistake, things like that. Like I believe that there's something pushing the timeline forward, and I believe that it's just from the outside. Like I think that if they tried to destroy humanity tomorrow by launching a bunch of nukes, it wouldn't happen. Something else is already at the helm. It's true. Something is pushing us down a funnel. Something wants to meet you. That's real. And it's up to you to believe whether it's Christ or not. Does it feel like Christ? I would imagine no. Doesn't feel like Christ to me. Although it could be at a much later stage, right? That's the saying. How did you get self-aware to think and question far into things? Was it mainly the coke you had, the reasoning this high? But it wasn't always that. A lot of the reasoning and things discovered me when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I always had the same visions and the same ideas, just to a different scope, because I was alone a lot of the time. Like I was alone a lot of the time. So I used to just sit there, and I don't know if you've ever been alone and poor and you don't have a lot of shit, but you always start like running these thought experiments through your head. Like if you're an intelligent person, and I'm intelligent in a way not from being book smart. Like if I sat and did physics tests, I'm going to get shit results for a lot of them. But I'm smart in a way that's like I guess it's like street smart. But I can figure things out at abstract, and smart people too. It's enough to sit there and study your own like theories. Like it's very entertaining for me. I can get lost in them. I can sit on the fucking bed or sit in my room or sit on the couch for like 3 or 4 hours just running my own theories through my head. That's entertainment. And that's also a problem of procrastination. That's what smart people do. Smart people also, some, not so much me, but when they're smart and they know everyone thinks that they're smart, they have handcuffs, because a lot of them are overthinkers and they don't deliver anything and thinking that it's not perfect. See, someone like me doesn't have that. And I'm lucky that I have that, because I don't have anyone. No one expects that I'm going to do anything right anyway, because I was only in school for 9 years. So I don't have any of those like handcuffs of pressure. If I'm to push something out there, and I have the reputation of being a cokehead and other things, and that's all intentional. Like that's all deliberate. I had a news article posted about me that I was a cokehead, so I just ran with it. Like you can't hide from certain parts of like things that you've done. You can't change your past in that regard. You have to run with it. You have to take things, even if they're bad, and move forward with them. You can't hide from what you've done or who you are. You can't have that, because otherwise people will look in and be like, he's worried about that. So now I'm going to push that at him constantly. You have to wear your flaws as badges. And in doing so, others will also see your flaws and wear theirs as well. And that's the path of individualization, as Jung says. It makes you unique. See, I'm unique. I'm a unique character. And as I get more individualized as well, your connection to the lattice, your alignment is there. It's true. And that's where you get the perks and the bonuses, and the shit starts to come up, because it all works as a multiplier, like for real. The more that you are aligned, it's like a 2x, a 3x, a 4x. But also the more that you're unaligned, it's like a 2x, a 3x, a 4x. A small thing goes wrong, then another thing goes wrong, and it's getting bigger. You're around the wrong people, and then you're in the wrong car, and then the car gets pulled over and there's shit in the car, and then you're in trouble. You're in the wrong car, and you're seeing a chick that you shouldn't see, and you know you shouldn't see it. You've got a girlfriend, and then you sit down in a restaurant, and then the girlfriend's best friend sits down next to you or near you, and now you're busted, like you're in trouble. And then you're like 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, but you saw all the way along what was going to happen, and you still went down there. Your intuition told you that this was a bad decision, and then you still kept pushing forward. And now you have to deal with the consequences. It's the truth of the matter. The slap in the face moment will come. We will continue to be knocked over until we become as we are meant to be. That's the Jung idea as well. That's the truth. The wrecking ball is true. The wrecking ball will come and knock you over again and again and again, and the lies and shit that you've built, until you become as you're meant to be. Some people don't realize that till they're 60, 70, 80 years old. And then they look out and they're like, wow, I wasted my whole life. I wasted my whole life trying to be someone that I wasn't. I wasted my whole life caring what other people were to say about me, but they don't pay my bills. See, I don't care what people say about me. I mean, people can say shit all of the time. I don't really give a shit. People can say I'm a cokehead. People can say I'm a degenerate. People can say I can be a degenerate. I can be a cokehead. So why do I care what people say, especially if it's the truth? There's nothing anyone can ever tell me about myself that would hurt me, because I know who I am. Like, I've been very accustomed to it. I know myself like the back of my hand. I accept myself, but also that's not to say that I still don't try to improve. But I know my own demons. I try not to leak them on others. You know, I know my things, and I know who I am. I know who I'm not as well. I'm very aware. I don't try to be like this classy guy. Some guys go to try to rebrand and they're running around in suits and things like that. That'll never be me. Like, I'll never be that guy. There's no money or nothing that someone could pay me to go against being a Christian of beliefs. There's nothing that someone could pay me to like promote other, other ideas or other agendas or something like that, or promote other people over my own. I wouldn't do that. I would never sell out to a cause. It's the truth. And that's a rarity in this world. But that's the thing of being aligned. Like, there's nothing that essentially no one can take anything from me. Again, no one can take anything from you either. You have to give it away. It's the thing. How to vet women and friends, and what about women who keep photo and memories about her ex? That's a massive red flag. Keeping photos or memories of an ex, it's over. Like, you've got to be very clear that that's unacceptable. Because again, it's disrespectful to you. Again, it's not just framework and things like that. You have to. Frame is essentially the first time that you meet a person, yes. But friends as well. Like, if you have friends and they're shit with girls, or they're shit with their girls, or the relationship that they have with their girls is bad or whatever, and you bring your girl around them together, she's going to start fucking up or acting up. It's a contagion. Something, like I've said before, a lot of you need a reality reset. You need to start over. Like, you need to get Instagram and wipe out a bunch of shit, or even delete it and start from zero. And that's scary, because some of you are like, oh, I don't want to be alone. But only in being alone, the hermit card in the tarot, will you actually find who you are. You guys haven't done your fucking 3 days like the Jonah. You haven't done the 3 days in the whale before. You haven't done it. And you fucking sit there. You haven't done your year on the deserted island to discover who it is that you are. Some of you aren't used to like looking inside or internal. You're only being yelled at on who you're meant to be, but you don't even know who you want to be. Like, some people wouldn't be happy to live my life. I mean, probably a lot of you wouldn't be happy. Some of you wouldn't be happy to be Tate. That's the life of like a 18-year-old. The visions and dreams of someone who's 16. What are you going to do at 40 or 50? Is that really what you want? Some people, again, they just want something so different to what they have, but they don't know what it is that they want. Some of you don't know your own strengths. A lot of you don't know your strengths at all. Like, you don't. You've never done the time alone, and essentially done the time thinking back to when you were a kid, and the time where you did things where it felt like the time was just, you just went like that. Some of you have creative flair and art and things too, but you don't look into it because you think it's gay. Creativity in that is the most beautiful thing that exists in time. Creativity and art, and that is what they're taking from you. That's your connection to God. Like, creation is godly. Destruction is satanic, yes. It's harder to create than it is to destroy. But creation, again, like, we're all a product of creation. The Big Bang, whether you have an orgasm, is kind of the same concept. That's it. Like, Big Bang and Jesus and all of that can exist in one idea. It's true. It's the truth of the matter. Those things, that's my view. Thank you so much for sharing and informing. I've been experiencing some different and unexplainable things. How do you know if it's something good or bad? There's no to say that it's good or bad. Again, some of you, if you're listening to my stuff, you'll be confronted by your shadow. And to a lot of you, your shadow looks like a demon and feels like it. Some of you will wake up at night and be like, oh, fuck, what happened? Because it's the first time you're actually communicating with your shadow, like you're seeing it for the first time, and it scares you. That's it. That's mostly all it is. The demons that you guys fear are actually internal. That's real. That's the truth of the matter. That's the saying, like, the demons and things that's internal, and that's the truth. If I'm starting to shine lights on different parts of you and different things that you're hiding from, then it can feel like an outside force, and it can seem something that confronts you. But again, you have to learn to incorporate it. Incorporating a shadow is done by alignment and empathy. The shadow parts of yourself can be some of your biggest parts. The part of you that might want to hurt people from time to time. You might get some joy of seeing someone miserable. Some part of you that might get a joy out of, like, if you're intelligent, like, I don't know, manipulating people or, dunking on them in some way. Maybe shadow is that you can be envious. You can be very jealous. Some people are jealous of their girl, like, they don't like that anyone looks at her or something. And then they sit there and they're like, I shouldn't be like this. But that's not to say whether you should or you shouldn't. You are, and that's fine. You just have to learn to keep it under control, but you should never hide from things like that. Some guys have certain fetishes or something that they think about and they hide from, and in turn that ends up controlling them because shame is attached to it. Any fetish or any ideas like that, if you don't act to essentially identify it, it can morph into other things, and you can get like really repressed, can be weird sexual urges and shit. Specifically, if you watch a lot of porn, that builds your shadow up. It's true. Anything done in the dark, anything you hide from, anything you can't talk about. Like, if you can't sit here and talk about it or show your internet history, then you have a big problem. Some guys can't even talk about sex at all. Some guys can't talk about jerking off because their influences tell them that they don't jerk off. It's fucking dumb. Those ideas are so stupid. They're so separational. Like, you make you think that you have a problem. What are your eating habits, considering it's important what we put in our body? I'm wondering what's your take on it and how you do it in your day-to-day life. I'm not the perfect eater. I've eaten once today. I'm getting a little bit chunky since I've been out of the gym, and I'm in Dubai, so I've been sober for the most part, not just drinking sometimes. But that's eating is a big thing. You got to eat. I find eating is best after lunch, after you've actually done some work. Just have coffee until then. What future do you see for your children born now, and how does that fit in with the belief that at death everything goes with us and that everything here is for us? I believe still the same thing. I think everything here is for us and everything goes with us, whether it's your kids or not. But if I'm wrong, I still leave her with a good life, right? And good knowledge and good wisdom and all of those things, because I'm ready to be wrong. That's the idea. I believe what I believe, but if I'm wrong, then I have the thing set up, and that my girl goes to private school. She has a good life, and she's got a very good mum that cares about her a lot and takes care of her. And that's the thing. So my bets are still that I'm still educating her and moving is the way. I believe everything's for me, and I believe everything exists for you, the same ideas, but that means that you have an ultimate responsibility, because if not you, who? That's the idea. Not that you exploit people or treat them poorly or think, oh, I don't care about this person because they don't matter. I treat people very well, but I can also treat people very bad. But I think that's merit-based. People treat you like shit, then you should sit there and kiss their ass. Can you tell us about Thoth, right? So what the Egyptian weighing of the heart and the feather on death, right? I believe that there's a lot of wisdom there, but you can get kind of lost in like those ancient mysticism. I believe it's all moves into one direction. But I do believe that Thoth, I've had a dream of that before, of the weighing. So essentially you would die and then your heart would be weighed compared to a feather. And that would depend on what it is that you kind of either went to which side of the life. But I do believe a lot of that mysticism and stuff is real. A lot of the things and those things that exist. I believe they may exist as another species outside of Earth as well, and that they kind of look over the planet that we're in. I believe it's pretty possible. All that stuff can exist at once. I don't think we'd be the only life form or only being in existence. I do believe, though, that since my own ideas have expanded since my Iboga trip, I do believe that this is one part of the life that essentially we're moving in an endless amount of these through the universe, whether it's just that we come back here if we don't do what we're meant to do, whether this is a pure, like a funnel of, like a purification funnel. I had a dream of that this is what we are, that essentially you're meeting something at the end, but you can only meet it after a series of purifying. Some people might have to do this existence like 10,000 times, 1,000,000 times to get to a point where they're they've closed off all of the shit that they had to close off if they're proven to be worthy, as it were. That's the thing. I don't believe, but I also believe that hell and heaven can exist here at once. Like if you move down the Dante's Inferno, you kind of feel like you're in hell as well. I have before. I've been down the Inferno before. I've been a sex, I wouldn't say addict, but pretty close. degenerate around sex, degenerate around drugs, degenerate around like, treating girls pretty badly, not being a great friend, not being very good to myself, being quite selfish with other people as well, selfish with even myself, not really looking after myself and that thing. I've never really gone all the way down the bottom, but I've still been descended down, and it feels like hell after a while. If you're in a period of alignment and then you start to lose it, it feels much worse than when you never had it. If you feel like you've got a connection or a conscience, or you're connected to the lattice, and then you feel it disconnect, you feel very hollow. You feel almost like God's turned his back on you. It feels different. That's true. Drugs is like that. I don't know if you've ever been a cokehead or anything like that, but it's like that. See, drugs and things like that, they feel good for like the first week or the first few days or the first few times that you do it, but it's on a decay. And they distance you away from yourself, like they pull you out of yourself, they pull you out of alignment. It doesn't matter if you just have unlimited money to do that sort of shit. You're around a lot of fuckwits when you do that sort of stuff. You become quite a fuckwit yourself as well. It's the nature of it. You are like your circle that's around you is you. That's true. There's a lot of us have the circle around us and we don't realize it's a projection of our shadow, and our inner self has projected around us, and that's who we've chosen to be our inner circle. Is an actual, if you took all of the characteristics of your inner circle and put them in one person, it's very likely you, because you've manifested them. So a lot of people don't realize those concepts are true. That's why it's better to have no inner circle than it is to be around fucking idiots. It's better to be alone. Do you know how long I've been alone in my life? For a very long period of my time. A lot. Like, for a period of my life, probably like the first 20 years, I didn't really have any friends. And then after that, periods of that, I didn't realize that with friendships and things like that, I give too much. See, I give too much to friends and things like that. And I thought that was normal, that everyone was like that. Because then after that, I was in the army. And in the army, you give as much as you can to your brothers, as it was. And then you have to realize that a lot of people don't have that same heart as you. See, people, when you have a good heart, and I have a good heart, we see good hearts and we project that onto others. But other people have a good heart as well. And a lot of people don't. So they mistreat that. And some people see that as weakness, and then they try to fuck you over in some way. So you have to be careful of all of that. How do you feel about the way Australia has changed over the last 25 years? The old lifestyle seems to be gone and the future seems uncertain. Yeah, Australia has changed a lot. It used to be the lucky country, but you realize that was probably a psyop, like that was a media campaign. But I believe it also did used to be the lucky country, but obviously that's still marketing. But yes, Australia is unrecognizable. That's it. Like, what happens if you're a tradie and you can't afford to buy a house anymore? Like, that's pretty obvious. The great Australian dream is nuked. A lot of that country was sold out to other countries, for real. I said that years ago, and people said I was crazy. I said years ago that they were going to have digital ID there and all of these, like, these things and these laws. And because I saw them with the consorting laws, I got charged under VLAD. They said that you got charged with banditos. I was never a member of any club, ever. I've never even said that I was a member of any bikie club or gang or anything like that. But they had association laws. So they can get you that you might have known someone who was kind of related to that, and how many people were. So they go like, oh, but you texted this person and met this person and did this. So they can get you on consorting laws so that you're associated with someone. And association is such a loose term. Like, it can be kind of anything. But they charged me under VLAD, which means that it was on a mandatory SVO, so serious violence offense. And then I was also in drug trafficking. So I was in a lot of shit when they charged me. And then I realized, because I was done after the Campbell-Newman laws, and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to get fucked here. But then they dropped the VLAD shit eventually, because that case, I don't think they got anyone on VLAD. I don't think it ever held up in court. I think a lot of that shit fell apart, but that's lucky, because that was early. If it had been come through now, it probably would have held up. But so none of the shit stuck, but the trafficking got downgraded to commercial supply. But and only because I said that I'll take it to trial. But they didn't have a very good case on me. Like, my case was very circumstantial. I'd never been arrested with drugs. I think maybe just like a baggie here and there, but I'd never been arrested with any commercial grade. I didn't have any like seized cash that was a large amount. I was done on statements, meaning that my ex put a statement in and then put a statement that she told people that I was selling drugs to. She knew a couple of people, and then cops visited one of them, and then one of them put a statement on me as well. They caught him with drugs, and then he said that he bought them from me. So my case was still quite weak because one of them might not have gone to court, and if one of them didn't go to court, then maybe the case would have fallen over. But I knew that they're going to get your pound of flesh eventually. See, if you beat the cops in court, sometimes that's the worst thing that you can ever do, because now they're going to come for you again and again and again and again and again, and at the point where they can just fabricate evidence if they want, they're going to win. Like if the cops come against you, they're going to beat you. And you have to surrender to know that if you ever get done for like a crime, you're in a chess match and the stakes are your whole life. It's okay to lose a few pieces because you're going to lose something. If you win, you can lose much more because they don't forget. Like the cops, Queensland Police, they don't forget. They'll never forget me, ever. That's why I don't live there. If I was driving a Lambo now, I would be probably locked up within the first few months. They don't forget you in those spots. They just don't. They don't want you to win from that point onwards. You're good as long as you don't see them again. That's it. And that's not to say that all police are bad, and that I'm not one of those people that says that people shouldn't call the police and all that stuff. I wouldn't, but normal people should, because they're not in that lifestyle. That's fine. Some guys have kids and they teach their kids to never call the police. That's so fucking dumb. And then if something happens to their kid, then what? The kid isn't a gangster, like, nor should they want to be. A lot of that stuff is fucking so stupid. Like, I could tell you prison stories that'll make your hair stand on end. It's not somewhere that you want to be. It's not tough. Like, it's not, and it's such a fake area too. There's a lot of like snitching and bullshit in that field. You don't want to go down those roads. There's no honor amongst that shit. Like, there's no honor amongst criminals for the most part. That died. Honor in Australia amongst criminals died when meth came in, died when ice came in. As soon as people started hitting that, there was no honor anymore. And a lot of that stuff is done in the dark because they're not meant to do it, and then they do it, and then they fuck each other over. What is our take on the elites building bunkers? Are we screwed if we don't have a plan? I don't know necessarily that. I think it's just like, it's kind of a risk mitigation. Like, I mean, if you're an elite, why wouldn't you do that? I would, because they have unlimited money. It doesn't necessarily mean that the end of times are going to be a week away or even a year away. But you want to live in a bunker? Like, really? What, you're just delaying that you're going to be drowned down there anyway? Like, I only want to live a natural existence. I don't want to live held away in some bunker. If it comes to that, I'm ready to face it head on. I'm not hiding in a bunker. That's the nature of life. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm no cockroach person. I don't hide from shit. I'm not scurrying away that, oh, I could live an extra 3 months. That's dumb. For me, that's stupid. I don't have that sort of agenda. I don't care. And my kid, I will hold her until the end of times comes. I'm not in there to like hide, and then her last memory is that we're starving in a bunker. It's not who I am. Just wanted to come and say thank you for opening my eyes for many dimensions. Been following you 2 years. Lots of good stuff to learn. Cheers, man. Appreciate that. Any other questions, lads? But yeah, the bunkers and stuff like that, it's your decision. Like, understand that there's going to be decisions to make where essentially you can live beyond your years. But it's up to you to decide if that's something that you want to do. Like, there's going to be mechanisms and things that you can live beyond your years that'll be very similar to what's that fat loss drug that they give you? And it's based out of the Gilly fucking monster, the reptile. What's it called? That fucking shit that they give to fat people, and you can live, or like fat people can lose weight with no effort. But it's based out of the Gilly monster, the fucking venom out of that. And that's what it's from. So it's a reptile. Yeah, Ozempic. So it's come out of a reptile. That's how they actually synthesize it. And they give it to people, and then they look weird, and they get weird when they take it, because I've known a few people taking it. So understand that there will be medication and things like that you can live longer. For sure. That will be in our time. They'll give you shit that you can take where you can actually live longer. 5, 10 years, 20 years, you'll be able to live longer past your time. But everything that you take, something will be taken from you. That's true. It's not us to decide when our time is up. Yes, you can do natural things like, even if you want to take tests, if you want to take, gym, you want to eat, you want to do things is different than if someone says, take this and you'll live longer. Take this and, you kind of push the clock back. Because who really wants to push the clock back? Do you? What's the point? Like, for a lot of you, you're not even like, you don't have a family anyway. Some of you are in the theme park. You're in Disneyland. You've already been on every ride that's here. but you can't just leave the park anyway. Like you're still in the park, like you're in the theme park. You don't leave it to go and be like, oh, I'm in my next phase of life. My next phase of life is not a dopamine seeking thing. I've already had the fairy floss. I've had the popcorn. I've had the Cokes. I've had all of the shit. I've been on the roller coaster 10 times. What's next? So I don't want to live in the roller coaster for another 10 years. I don't need to walk around Disneyland for 10 more years. I've already done it. That's the saying. So maybe if someone says family and things and they want more time with their family and things, then I can understand that. But a lot of the other shit is you're just like, it's just greedy. Like you've been on all of the rides already. Let someone else have a turn. That's my saying. That's the nature of it. It's not time is not the most important thing to me. Quality is. I could die at 60, 50s, whatever it is that's on the table. And I would rather have gotten the time out of my years than gotten the years, because years don't matter. Like you can live 60 years old and someone arrives as like a pristine corpse and things, but they haven't done anything. They never took any opportunities, any chances. They never loved anyone. They were afraid to love. Love is the highest vibration. Love is everything. Like love really is. Love is everything. To be loved and trusted and respected, and trusted is bigger than love. If people trust you, it's more of a compliment than if they love you. It's true, because you've likely done something to deserve it. Love, you don't know. I mean, you can love people and not really understand why. Did you use any shadow integration techniques? It's a funny question, actually, with my shadow. So I'll tell you a funny story. It's not funny. It's a very occult story. But how do I word it? Because some of you, as soon as you hear the occult, you get like spooky. Some people are very scared of this topic. If you talk about shit like that, they think that you're the second coming of Satan. And again, it's what you do with it that matters. I understand the occult does communicate with you for sure, but it's what you do with it that matters. If you use information and things to better your life, or you use information to hurt or suppress others, is different. But information is floating around all of the time. You have both the angel in one ear and you can have the devil in the other, but it's what you do with it that matters. We all have intrusive thoughts sometimes. We all have ideas and things where we might not understand why we had that. It doesn't mean that we're bad. It's what you do if you're acting on it. But I actually had so once it was my birthday, I was like 14 or 15 years old, and I was living in Traralgon South. So it's a town of like 200 people. And I had this idea that I was going to have a birthday party. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any, I had organized a garage that we had. It was very cold there. It was Traralgon South. So it was probably like, I don't know, at night, maybe 2 degrees or 0. And I'd cleaned out the garage. I'd done all of the party invites and everything. And I had an idea that I was going to have a full party full of people. But I think in that moment, my reality had broken, because I'd been getting teased a lot in school. My dad was really sick. I didn't have any friends. My mum was working away. So it was just me and my dad there, and he was very sick. And in that moment, my reality had broken down, that I was convinced that I was going to have a big party full of friends, even though I had no friends. And then I sat upstairs. So I sat up at the garage. And then I realized in the moment I'd had like burnt a CD. I had party invites. I had party balloons that I'd bought. I had no money. My parents don't have any money. And then, so for me to buy those things was out of my money, and it was a lot for me just to buy invites for a party. And then I essentially went up there and went to the garage. And in that moment, I realized that no one was going to come. And then I thought, why did I do this? And then I realized that I was a loser in that moment. And then I had sat on this, so I sat on the couch that was up there, and there was a pile of clothes in front of me. And then it was dark, because I had sat in the dark point, because some of the lights and things in the garage weren't really working. So it was quite dark. It was fucking freezing, but I couldn't feel the cold. And then I looked up in this pile of clothes, and it morphed into a person in front of me. And then I had a long conversation. And essentially that was a conversation that I had with my shadow. And I have had a few since then. And it told me that I was a loser, that I wouldn't always be a loser, but I needed to start to get serious with my life. It told me many things that would happen from the future. It told me that I would be rich. It told me that I would travel the world. It told me that I needed to leave my parents behind, and that if I didn't, it would be the end of me. It told me that a lot of the stuff that was happening with them wasn't my fault, but it was up to me to decide what I was going to do with myself from that moment onwards. It told me that I would move to essentially Queensland. I lived in a town of 200 people, thousands of miles away. That to me was impossible. I didn't have anything. It told me that I needed to leave school. It told me that if I left school and trusted essentially in myself and my abilities, that I would be rich. I didn't know how. It didn't tell me how. It didn't tell me when. But I've seen it since then. I've seen the same figure multiple times. It's come to me once again in prison. and told me many things again about the future and the future of myself. But I remember, yeah, it happened, and no one had ever sat down and talked to me like that. I'd only ever been talked to when I was a kid, like talked to where people just yell at you or just tell you how you are. I never had anyone sit down and explain to me in a way that felt like it was listening to me. It didn't talk to me. It talked to me without speaking. Like it talked to me just directly into my head. And I also talked to it from my head. And it consoled me in a way that it wasn't like consoled from like a pussy way. It wasn't telling me any excuses. It was just absolute truth. And it was truth as though it had never, didn't have an agenda, but it was pure truth. Like I was hit with the truth, but there wasn't, again, it showed me also ideas and things of how people were teasing me and picking on me at school. It ran all of the stuff through my head. And it said that this is merit based, like you're a loser. Like people are calling you names because you are a fucking loser. Like your shit isn't under control. And if you don't figure it out, like you don't make it happen and actually make so many changes, you're going to die here. And it was true because I had thoughts even when I was like 15 years old that I was sick of living because I had a very hard life. I was on my own for a very large part of my life. And if you're ever on your own for periods, it's not fun. Like it's not fun when you're on your own for a long period of time because you don't have anyone to bounce ideas off. So it can get very dark. Like there's no one to talk to. And when you're a kid, you feel like everything's your fault. And then you're like, how am I going to get out of this position? Like, how am I going to get out? I live in a town of 200 people. I live fucking thousands of kilometers from Melbourne. There's nothing happening for me in the future. Like it's kind of all over already. So these ideas and things that happen as well when you don't even know what to talk to, that was the figure that came to me. And essentially it's come to me multiple times since. And that was a life changer. Like I'd never, after that moment onwards, that was the beginning. But that was the first ego death that I had. That was an ego death moment. Because I had an image of who I was. And I used to cope that I was still smart. And again, I'd be like a lot of anons that jump online and talk a bunch of bullshit. I was projecting a lot of crap. I would be online. I'd play video games, and in the games, I was very good. Played professional Counter-Strike from beta 3 to like 1.4 or whatever the fuck it was. I was very good at the game. I played Tribes and other games, but there was bullshit. I was a loser. Like, why am I fucking around playing games when my shit is not under control? I would turn the game on and I would feel powerful, but then as soon as the game turned off, I was a loser. It's the ideas and things that I come to those sort of realizations. But again, I come to the realization because I baptized myself with the truth. Even when the figure was telling me these things, I never argued because I realized that it was true. It wasn't saying things to hurt my feelings and like, saying things with no malice. It was just telling me the absolute truth, and absolute truth is the thing that we all need. You can hide from it. You can turn away from it. You can run from it. You can distract yourself away from it, but you can't lose from the consequences of distracting you away from it. Like you can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality as it is. You can be a fatty and then you can tell the world that everyone else is wrong, but you can't ignore the fact that you're a fat ass and you're going to get the accordingly life of that because it's under your control. That's true. I was sloppy. I wasn't taking care of myself. I had bad hygiene. I had social anxiety, or so I thought. But now I can sit on here and talk for hours, and I can talk to people for hours. I never had social anxiety. I was just a loser. I was socially uncalibrated. I didn't know what to say because I also, when I was a kid, my dad pretty much told me that there's no point talking because you haven't done anything, which again is probably true. So I didn't used to say a lot of stuff. I was just being talked to all of the time. But when you talk to a lot, talked to, you're not talked as though anyone's really cares how you are or your dreams or your goals or anything like that. You're never really going to get anywhere. Like it's hard because you hold everything inside. Because no one's ever really sat there and talked to you for you are. A lot of you are like that. Like people don't really talk to you. They talk at you. Like your mom, your parents, your sister, your brother, your dad. A lot of them talk at you. Your boss talks at you. They don't really talk back. They're not treating you as an equal or anything that's like something that's good for you. So that was the idea. And that was the first confrontation I would say that I had with my shadow. And then essentially started to incorporate it from there. I incorporated my shadow essentially like in 20s as well. I always knew that it was important. I always knew that it was something to bring within myself. I always had a heavy shadow. I can be very cruel. I can be very cruel to women. And that's a part of my life that essentially is my highest self, is that I have to figure out to not be hard on women. I have no brothers. I have 2 sisters. I have my mom. I don't see my dad. I haven't seen him for a long time. I have a daughter. Like, don't you see the girls? I've had 2 girls die essentially in front of me. I had one girl die in my arms from a fentanyl overdose that she had. I had another girl die on this Iboga trip. She fucking died falling off a cliff in Costa Rica. I was at the fucking camp. So my lesson is for women, and I've seen the Virgin Mary twice during 2 near-death experiences. I have a massive tattoo of her on my like on my side. So when I stand on here and talk, I don't talk as though that's why I don't jump on and degrade women, because a lot of my life through lessons has been to have empathy for women as they are, not try to change them, not try to like mistreat them or abuse them or treat them like shit. Because if it's not manly, like it's not masculine to run women over. I mean, it's pretty easy. Like you can yell above them if you really want, but you don't get what you want. Like that's it. What has been your experience with Jesus? I had an experience once. I had an experience was getting a massage, and I was feeling really low because it wasn't long after this girl had died, and it was before my fight. And then I had a vision. I was getting a massage. So massages is a cheat code. If you're getting a massage again, a lot of the time, I'm talking like not a happy ending one, a normal one. And then they're taking knots out. The knots out is like physical. They're physical memories and feelings. So if you're getting a massage, it's not unusual that you can feel somewhat overwhelmed or just feel really good or feel like, certain ideas and visions and things can come to you. You can feel very relaxed. It's feeling based, like a proper massage. And I had a vision that I was looking down at the floor and then I was tired, like half asleep. It was at nighttime. And then all of a sudden I saw this vision of this figure getting dragged through. It was looked like some Roman village or something. And it was wearing like tattered rags, carrying this big fucking thing that it was carrying with it. I didn't exactly see what it was. And then I come to see that essentially I saw the crowd. Some of them were happy, some of them were crying. And the figures that were taking him through weren't really happy with what it is that they were doing, but they were leading him through and they were hitting him and pulling him along. And then I saw this figure keep going along, and they were in tattered rags, obviously fucked up, bleeding a lot, like a lot of blood. And then I saw that essentially they were to drag him to the side of a cliff, and then he had one cross on him, and there were 2 already erected. Like there were 2 crosses already sitting on the cliff face, and he was to put the 3rd up for himself. And I believe that was Jesus, and that was the Jesus Christ moment that I had. And it almost made me cry when it happened for the first time. I don't know why. And then I had another moment once I was getting a bath, not long after that again. I was about to sit in the bath, and then I felt Jesus like in the fucking room, like a presence of just absolute understanding. And like, I see you entirely as you are, and I love you anyway. There were no tricks and no bullshit. And I haven't had that before. I haven't felt that before. A feeling of being seen exactly as you are and accepted exactly as you are. It's like a feeling of absolute light, like just a complete cleansing process. Like you're seen exactly as you are, good and bad, you're weighed and measured, and it's okay. And that's the idea. I've had that once before. So I had a near-death experience, and I felt like I was walking into a period of light, and it felt like going home. Like if you were to walk home and walk in your house and everyone's waiting for you, and you're exactly in that moment, you're exactly where you're meant to be. That's a moment that I've never had again since I've had that moment in near death. And I had that moment again when I was in that bath. And then I felt like in this moment, I'm like exactly where I was meant to be. And then I had another moment similar to that on Easter again. I had a moment where essentially Jesus or something similar to that was like, you can trust me. Like you can lean into me. It's okay. I know that you haven't had it before, but now if you wanted to do it, it's okay. And that was a very powerful moment. That's why those moments and those things that I've had, I would never renounce Jesus. And that's not to say that I live within the framework of Christianity and all of those things, because I don't consider myself traditional. I mean, my lifestyle is not. But I do believe in that. And I do believe in not damaging religion. Even others, like other people's religions, like Muslims and things, I believe in not damaging their religion. It's their thing. I respect it. I don't tread on it, or it's not my business to be like pretend to be an expert in any of their shit, because I'm not. I believe what I believe, but I also don't run around and like tell people that they have to follow what I follow. It's their business. Everything is free will based to me. That's what I believe, but I also don't run around and pretend that I'm some perfect ambassador for it either, because I'm not. It's the truth of it. I'm still realizing and trying to discover it and things like that. But I have a do no harm approach. I don't fuck up others if I can avoid it. I don't fuck with good people. Like I don't fuck around people that are good. I don't fuck around the virgins idea and all of that. I don't do all of that shit. I never give girls drugs specifically if they've never had it or they've never been around it. I don't want to be around girls that are taking drugs for the first time. I don't want to be around girls that are in the club for the first time. I don't want to be the gateway for anyone into something that's going to fuck their life up. And that's it. You know, that's the nature of the game. When I used to sell drugs, I never sold to minors. I never sold to people if it was their first shit. I never sold to like the average person. I sold in the middle, you know, like I guess you would say a wholesaler, as it were. I sold to dealers who sold to people below them. But I never was importing in importation or anything like that. So it was more like a middle thing. But that's this life, right? You pay your penance. I mean, it's no coincidence that I've had 2 people die around me on drugs since I used to sell them. Because again, you open a karmic circle, a loop, a debt, it will be paid. It's no coincidence. I sold drugs and I had a girl overdose on me, and I had another girl die from drugs, from iboga. That's not a coincidence. Like you did this to the world, and now you're going to see the consequences of your actions. It's true. Will you move on from it, or will you essentially not learn the lesson? See, certain people, it's the thing from the iboga trip that haunts me, or haunts me to a degree, is she went with me. Like she came with me. I was in charge of providing safety for the group, and she didn't make it home. It's not the fact that she walked and died. I mean, I was getting an IV drip. There's nothing that I could have done. She waited till I was on an IV to leave the camp. I was with the doctor. I couldn't have left the camp. I had a 210 blood pressure at the time. I was still on iboga. If you ask anyone who's had someone die on iboga on Discovery Day in the world, I don't think that there would be very many people who have actually been on Discovery Day. Like you're still on iboga. Reality itself is very thin. And then you get told that someone that you came with is dead and they don't know how they died. That's a bit of a crazy thing. What is a father actually supposed to teach his son? I never met mine. You just provide a fence again. Like your son, you're providing a reality they think that they're doing it alone, but they're not. Like you're providing the illusion that they're doing it themselves, but you're still monitoring what it is that they do. So you're providing essentially like a mini world that they can exist in, but then you open it up to a bigger world over time. That's the nature of it. Like you're providing like a mini area, like a play zone. They think that they're doing it all themselves, but you're still watching out for what they do for if they don't do anything bad or make mistakes that are too big. But essentially a lot of the stuff with boys, the more that you help them, the more that you hurt them in the long term, is true. That's not to say though that you have to still be there. I think with a daughter, it's not as easy for the dad because essentially the daughter's going to become like the mum kind of no matter what. Like I don't know how to raise my daughter exactly. I'm not good with that stuff. I know how to raise a son if I have one, but I don't know how to raise that because I'm not a girl. Like I don't know exactly what they need and how they think and things like that. I would imagine I have somewhat of a clue, but I don't know. Her mother's going to be more important in that realm. And that's it. Any more questions, lads, or we'll wrap it up? I think it's fucking 2 hours. Drinking the slot. All right, lads. So we're going to wrap it up. But I'll talk to you all soon. And it's good to hear from you again. Good to be able to go live. And I'll see you soon, then. Cheers, lads. Love you all. Stay strong. Keep fighting.